Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome a man who's traveled all over the world, wrestled in every major organization, a true legend in the sport, Manny Fernandez, the Raging Bull.
Hey, Tully, nice to be here.
Thank
nice
you
to be with you, and I'm glad your name is T-E-L-L-Y.
Would there be a problem if it was spelled with the U?
Yeah, kind of a little problem there. Yellow man. Tully Blanchard, we could say, I'll give him respect because he came from West Texas State, and that's about where it stops. When he left West Texas State, that's when we started winning championships. He was that lousy of a quarterback. And then he was lousier at, he was good about running. I shouldn't say lousy. He got me in a predicament that almost cost me my life. First thing he did was take off running. So, like a typical quarterback, he took the scramble route out. He scrambled away from me, and I was left there to fight several guys that punctured me 7 times with their little tiny tools they had there. What led up to it is we were at the Topless Bar. We're at the Topless Bar, and one of the pretty good-looking dancer got to talking to us and stuff. And we met her at Denny's. Of course, we didn't know that she had a biker boyfriend. So she just met her at Denny's to eat, and that's where we went. And I guess her boyfriend pulled up and stuff, and something ensued when I went to the bathroom. I don't know if he said something to the girl, because she was blessed. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They were wonderful. Yeah. She was very blessed. And some went on while I was in the bathroom. When I came out of the bathroom, there was mass confusion. He was backing up like a coward, backing away from him, and I came forward to find out. Like I said, I protect his business. If you're going to touch one of them guys, you got to touch me. That's my belief in this business. So I had to step up there, and I got the guy says it's none of my business. Of course, when you tell me it's none of my business, I'm already wired up for something. You're going to get hit. And he got hit. But I did one mistake. I taught my kids, I confined myself in a small area coming out of the bathroom, the hallway. And when they all came at me, it was hard to fight my way out of them because they're all coming back into me. So by then, I thought they were punching me, and my adrenaline was going so hard, trying to get out of there where I had space to fight, that I thought they were hitting me in my arms, but actually were stabbing me in my arms. Then I knew I was stabbed when he got me right here inside the ribcage. That's when I whipped my belt off and came through and clocked one guy, got out, and just started swinging. I had one of those cowboy belt buckles, Texas, big old belt buckle back then. And I whacked him upside the head, and I fought my way through there. And that's when everybody in the club, in the Denny's restaurant, I guess, called the cops, and they split. Of course, by then I lost both my cowboy boots were filled with blood. And I started getting lightheaded and started going down. And that waitress put a tourniquet on my arm. Kind of saved my life, I guess. But Tully went out there, he got a knife, he got a knife, he got a knife. I guess he got everybody's attention, I don't know.
He was gone by the time the cops got there?
Oh yeah, he was gone. This guy was trying to stagger to catch up to him, the lady said. But he had just bought a brand new Cadillac, and he wanted no blood on his Cadillac.
Unbelievable.
But he's a born-again Christian.
Yeah. So he says.
So he says, right. Yeah. That's why he lives next door to Magnum, because Magnum's married to his ex, and he beats up his wife with a crowbar in the front lawn, and he's born again.
Wait, I'm sorry, I missed this story.
It was in the Charlotte newspaper.
Really?
Yeah, he was outside, got into it with his wife, ex-wife at the time, and he took her outside, started whacking her with a crowbar, and he got busted. And praise the Lord.
Did he go to confession after that?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Of course, she left him. Now she's with Magnum TA, and Magnum told me that he decided to buy a house not far from their house. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of, bothering Magnum. But, like they say, he's a Christian. Yeah.
What have you seen Tully since?
Oh, I've seen him because I've had to spend my career most of the time, most of my career cross paths, I had when I got recovered from the stabbings and stuff, I was still in San Antonio, still working for his dad. Tully was still there with Gino Hernandez, so we still had to, team up. Me and Chavo Guerrero teamed up against them. We had matches, and it was so hard for me personally not to break this guy, not to stretch him, snap every bone in his body, And then of course he left and came to WCW Mid-Atlantic, and then before I knew it, I got the call to come here to Mid-Atlantic area too, and he was here. So there was times that I did wrestle Tully, and I did it professionally, but there was times that I hooked him and just punished him and rubbed his nose in it, and just times J.J. Dillon, would tell me, hey, you got to wrestle sooner or later. But I let them know. I've always let them know.
Is there any truth behind any backstage incidents with Tully?
Yeah, the major one was 87, the Jim Crockett Cup. Me and Rhodes were ranked #1, rated or whatever they had going on there. And I just was in a bad mood about that. And me and Tully, you know, all that stuff was always in the back of my mind. The incident, almost dying in San Antonio, and what a coward he was and stuff. So that day, he just picked the wrong day to say something to me, and I went off and beat the living crap out of him in the dressing room. And of course, I got in trouble for it, and me and Rhodes got a little angry because we ended up not winning the cup, you know, being the #1 seed and stuff. So
that was almost punishment for you.
That was punishment. I was always in Dusty's doghouse, one way or another. I was always getting the doghouse. It didn't bother me. You know, I was going to do what I wanted to do, what I felt to do. My pride in myself is to do what came out of me. I never watched it. I wrestled in high school. I wrestled. I was 2-time state champion in the state of California. You know, wrestled NCAA's independent and took 3rd in NCAA's freestyle. And, you know, wrestling was my life. I'll say it made me better football player, and it gave me quickness and stuff like that. But before all that, you know, my mom raised 8 of us by herself. Had no dad, so I had to learn to survive when I was 8 years old in the barrios of California. You got to learn how to fight. You got to learn to protect your brothers and sisters. That's where I learned about being close with people, because I kept my family close to me. If you touched them, I was going to get some payback one way or another. And then, of course, going from there and going on to play football in junior college and enlisting in the Navy and getting bored of them, becoming a Navy SEAL, and ended up in duty in Vietnam. That taught me a tighter brotherhood, because the SEAL teams become very tight. Those are your real brothers. They're there for you. They're there to watch your back. They never leave you alone, and they don't leave you behind. That's a big no-no in our unit, you know, in the teams itself. But that's how I got in there, and that's how I learned a lot of the things, mainly to cover my own butt and take care of the people around me.
So it's safe to say Tully Blanchard would not make a good Navy SEAL.
No. We definitely wouldn't recruit a guy like that would be running away from stuff. We run into stuff. We don't run away from stuff.
How did life as a Navy SEAL impact you when you came back home? How were you different?
The war itself, being in country itself, kind of impacted the things that we did. You know, it stays with you, some of the things that we did. It impacted me to a point that I didn't think I had the ability to go back and compete anymore. See, I've been competing in sports since I was 7 years old. I was blessed with the ability to play football, wrestle, play baseball, any sport. I excelled in any sport. That, I don't know why, but I was given that ability and I could do it right. But when I came back, I lost that tenacity I used to have as a kid, because I learned something different. I learned what it was to go and hunt a human being and be hunted back. And that, you know, took away from the competition of amateur sports and competing just to compete. When you compete to survive and defend your own life, it's a different story. So I had a hard time readjusting myself to the nature of this society, getting through that dark time of being in country and stuff. But, you know, luckily I ended up, some coach that recruited me to play back when I was coming out of high school at USC, ended up with a job at West Texas State University. And he found out I was in El Paso going through this and managed to get a hold of me and convince me to walk on to the team. He apparently knew I'd get a scholarship sooner or later, and he was right, you know. And that's how I ended up competing against sports. That's West Texas State. That's basically where my roots started, because when I got to West Texas State, I still had this mentality to defend myself. And I actually almost got kicked out of the university the first week I was there, because I used to sleep with a gun under my pillow. And these young guys that were there, when I reported to West Texas State for football 2 days, you know, in the dorm, they thought I was a freshman coming in. They didn't know I was a Vietnam vet. You know, and of course, they're going to rib the freshmen. The freshmen coming in, they're going to do something to them. And they tried to creep in my room, and of course, I didn't sleep well then. You know, I still don't sleep well. I'm a very light sleeper. Anything can wake me up. And they tried to creep in there and dental floss my toes together and stuff like that. And I just clicked the gun on. And their eyeballs got about this big and screaming and stuff. And I realized what I did. And I had to go before the head coach and said, hey, you know, the guy that recruited me had to sit him down and say, hey, we didn't tell you, but we should have told you he's a veteran. He just got back, you know. He's just not been home long since I got back in 75. I ended up in West Texas in 77. So it takes a long period of time. Still to this day, I still have some of the effects from it, but, you know, I deal with it. And that's where my roots started at West Texas State.
Sure. Well, without getting too far off topic, we would like to thank you for your service and everything you've done for our country. Just take a moment to.
Thank you very much, Ty. I appreciate it. There's a lot of guys out there that really need our backing and our support. I'm tired of these yellow ribbon wearing guys that once they think they looks good, but then when the kids come back, they don't help them. Why? I never understood why we have homeless vets. I mean, come on. They put their life on the line for this country. That shouldn't be right.
Now, you were a Navy SEAL. Luckily, you came back, and besides was, some of the readjustments you had to go through. Were there any other bad habits that you brought back?
Fighting. you get turned, just like I told you earlier, you still have that military mentality, because you go people don't understand, when you go through an intensive training program and you intensely train to be something, a fighting machine, and be that organized and be that unit, close thing, that's what you become. It stays with you the rest of your life because you go through that. That kind of physical training is always in your mind. So I always, until this day, my psychiatrist calls it fight or flight. And I'm rather fight. I'm not going to fight. I'm too old to run, Now, I was younger. I didn't think about running. I just thought about fighting. So I bought that instant, hey, get in my face, I'm going to knock you down thing to West Texas State on the football field. Funny part is, like my coach said, I know you'll earn a scholarship. But a week later, I earned a scholarship by taking out the guy in front of me. He packed his bag and went home. And I got his scholarship.
Were you dominant at West Texas State? I mean, after coming out, you were probably, how was that?
It came back to me. See, I played the sports for a long time. Like I said, I started when I was 7. Everything came back to me as soon as I put the gear on. Just like I tell people, no matter how hurt I am, once I go through those ropes, it's a different world. Now I'm me. I put the hurts behind me, but I was dominant in the sense, like, if I had the West Texas State program, the thing they said about me was fast, strong, and mean. And that's what it was. If you were standing before me, I had to get through you to get there, and I was going to get through you. The one that really I caught his eye was Dickie Murdoch. He played there before, but he used to come to every home game. There were big boosters at West Texas State, and he found out that number 73 was out there, and it was. I can tell you right now, we played 11 games. In 11 games, I got in a fight with somebody. With somebody. That's why they took a liking to me. They thought I was crazy because I was winging it out there, man.
Now, were you recruited to actually become a wrestler at this time?
They started to, because my background, my coach, they knew my coach, my line coach, Dave DeLuca, and he told me, this kid was a heck of a wrestler in high school, and that's when they were starting, they come to me. I got to meet them at a home game when we beat Tulsa, which was one of our big rivals, and I got to meet them there. And I met Dickie Murdoch and Terry Funk and Dory Funk, and that's when they said, "Hey, we're pro wrestlers." Yeah, pro wrestling. Yeah, I don't want to hear about it. I really didn't care.
What did it take to convince you to get in the ring?
It took me about the 2 years I played at West Texas State, and then it's just being with them, riding with them, going to things, seeing with them, and still me saying that. It took them a while. It took them a good 2 years to convince me, because after that I played the NFL. And that's saying, in my eyes, I wanted to play in the NFL all my life. I wanted to retire an NFL player, but that didn't come true. So luckily, these guys slowly but surely convinced me, come work out with me in the ring, and I'd get on gear and put my wrestling gear on, go in there and wrestle with them. And then they really hooked me, I think, when they brought in a guy named Dennis Stamp, who was a NIA All-American wrestler. Remember, this is NCAA, this is NIA. This is a big step up. Yeah. And he had won the NIA championship, and he was a pro wrestler, and Dickie tricked me in. I came to the Sportatorium. Dennis was there working out, and he told me to get in the ring with there, and then he started coming at me, and about 2 minutes later, I tied him in a knot, and Dickie Murdoch got mad. God dang it, get out of that ring. I said, all right. So that's basically where they kind of got the hook in me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So did you have an instant passion for it when you started seeing, after you started running the roads with some of those legends?
Yeah, I used to drive Dickie and Terry up and down Lubbock, Texas, the short runs and stuff, and I saw their partying style, wild drinking, having fun, partying at the damn Caravan Club, and it was enjoyable. And then I'd just show up and, just to work myself out in the ring. I had the key to the Sportatorium in Amarillo, so I'd go in there and just, shoot on me, do takedowns on my own. And I think one time I was doing that, single leg takedown, shoes, drills and stuff, and Dickie Murdoch came in one time and got in the ring. And he says, go sit right there. So he made me sit at ringside, and he started wrestling. And there was nobody in there. But this man was doing bumps and doing other things. He was wrestling Invisible Man. And I was sitting there going like, he had me actually reacting like, oh. He was doing this all by himself. He was wrestling, and it looked convincing. And I was going like, damn, that looks like fun. So that's when I started again doing flips on my own, flipping up in the air, landing on my back and stuff like that. Then I graduated to the second turnbuckle, diving back, and finally I got to the top turnbuckle. That's when I fell over and landed on my head. Split my head open, because I really did by myself. And I walked in and said, damn, look at what I did. Dickie Murdoch spit on his hand, slapped it on my head. He goes, long way from your heart. Now get back out there. That's why I like Dickie Murdoch. So that's how I got hooked. You know, I said, these guys are tough. My style. You know, these guys don't put up with none of that crybaby stuff. So what if you split your head open? You're breathing. Go back out there.
Now your first year in the business, you got to wrestle Harley Race, right?
I got to wrestle a great world champion. Great world champion. Terry Funk was another one, Dory, all those guys, but Harley Race. And I got to wrestle him 17 times. And I've never known, it's like I was saying to a couple of my kids when they tell me, because they showed a match of me and Harley late on WWE Classics or whatever, and we did a spot one time where I hung myself, where I went to give him a football tackle, he dropped down, and I actually literally hung myself on the rope, and I almost hung myself, because I didn't think I could do it, but I did it like an idiot, and everybody was like, oh my God, he really did it. But I was hanging myself. And Frenchie, the guy that take care of the Andre the Giant, and Harley come over. And when I was sitting there gagging, hanging, they were leaning on a rope to tighten it up more. And I'm going, oh. Yeah, he was great. I mean, I wrestled that man 17 times, 15 60-minute Broadways, 2 90-minute Broadways. And the great thing about him, not one match was the same. And all those times that he defended his title, not one of those matches, everyone was different. Everyone. That's why I say he's a great champion. He doesn't bore me like Ric Flair. You know, he doesn't have that same style over and over and over. This man is like a comedian. He can adapt to anything. He let me do my high flying, coming off the top, everything like that. Burrito, all duck kids, you know, that kind of thing. And stuff like that. Yeah, he was great.
What about your first? Do you remember your very first professional match in front of a crowd?
Oh, God, do I. When they first fronted to me, it was in Lubbock, Texas. And I wrestled an old-timer named Alex Perez, whose nickname was One Punch. And I didn't know that he used to be a good pro boxer. And I guess they told him, you know, you're going to wrestle the kid. Here's a kid coming up. We're going to push this kid, and we need you to go out there and take care of him. Well, he was none too happy. Apparently, he was none too happy. And I went out there, and what I was taught, the respect of this business, when I was taught, it says, you just started this business, you just shut up and listen. Well, I didn't have to be told another thing. I did what I was told. So, you know, I'm out there with a veteran, he ties up with me, backs me up to the rope, says, okay, kid, drop your hands. So I dropped my hands, you know, like I was told. Next thing I found out why they called him One Punch. He sucker punched me so hard, collapsed me to the ground, and I thought I was out. Boy, I was struggling to get back up, and I looked at him, and everything going crazy in the ring. I was like, oh, Lord. Of course, everybody watched that match because it was my first match. Terry was out there, Mulligan was out there. Bessie, worst of all, Dickie was out there. And they saw that. Oh, and they lost it. I mean, I got through the match with him and everything. Took me a while to get my cobwebs back, get straightened out. Brother, he did have a punch, and he was great. He was a great fighter in his time. So I got back there, and it was not too nice for Mr. Perez, man. They went off on him, bro, and I felt bad. But like I said, I was a green kid, and they tattooed him pretty good back there, but I couldn't say nothing, and I wasn't about to. You go tell Blackjack Mulligan to stop. 6'8", 390 pounds? I don't think so.
What was the mentality like before the matches when you started? It's, you know, nowadays it seems like wrestlers go over the match, they kind of pre-rehearse. How was it back then when you started?
Like I said, Tully, the biggest thing about me, when I started this, I'd sit in the dressing room, lace up my boots, sit down, and wait. Nothing. And all they come in, Frenchie eventually come in, tell you what you're going to do, just to finish. Okay, that's it. Then you got to go out there. Hey, in my era, 90% go, 20% show. So you got to go out there and battle. And that's how you put your matches. The match, everybody I train, R-Truth, JBL, Booker T, Stevie Ray, Crash Holly, all them guys were taught everything starts out there. Not in. One time I told them, don't leave your match in the dressing room. How many guys do that? You know, it's got to start out there. It's going to change out there, not in there.
Who were some of the toughest wrestlers when you started out, in your mind? Legitimate tough guys, not just in the ring.
Number one, Dickie Murdoch. He didn't have to be an amateur like me. Hell, he had those two long buggy whipped arms and naked. Oh my God, what a punch. He had a wallop on him. I seen him knock a guy out against a damn gasoline pump. And the guy laid there the whole time I was pumping gas and never woke up. And that's, I was still in college playing ball. And I would drive him around. He'd come pick me up at the dorm. You're taking me to Lubbock here. And I said, all right, Dad, let's go. And then he'd go in there and get the beer, and I'd gas up the truck. Well, one time this guy took our pump out of the truck. I had it hosed in. I wasn't paying attention. I was getting the cooler open up for the beer. And he came and grabbed the hose and put it in his truck. Mistake. And I said, hey, this is our gas. He just paid for it. And he gave it out, and Dickie came in, and guy said one thing, and clock. Guy hit the pump, slid down like that going coyote, Wile E. Coyote. And he laid there the whole time. And the time we're packing the beer on ice, he still was there. When I drove off, I said, oh my God, you killed him. I thought he killed him. Now Mulligan, Terry Funk, tough as nails. But Mulligan, another one. Wasn't taking the, you know, it was the great story everybody likes to hear is when him and, they made me go pick up, I was still in college, they made me go pick up Andre the Giant for a battle royal. And I had to look at him and go, look, dude, he's 7'4", 500 pounds. I have a Formula Trans Am. How am I going to put him in the car? He says, you got T-tops? I said, yeah. He says, take one off. I go, what? So the first time I ever met the Giant, I go pick him up at Amarillo Airport and have to take the T-top off my car, and he's riding by, looking like the movie Gator with Burt Reynolds, that guy coming off. We're going down the highway. You know, and that night, both of them came back in my Formula. Mulligan and the Giant. I was stuck in the back.
Of your own car.
In my own car. And that's the night that we all got drunk, and Andre calls everybody boss. But Andre decided he wants me to drink 2 fingers tequila. Oh, this Mexican kid, drink tequila, drink tequila. I said, okay, I brought out a shot glass, but he brought out a glass. And he's filling up the glass, making sure I drank the whole glass. About 3 glasses later, I was on my butt on the floor. And him and Mulligan are playing cribbage. In the old days, the guys were so simple. They go to the dressing room. They didn't talk about their match. They played cribbage. That was done in the dress. They play for points. The guy loses $10, $12, whatever. That's what they did. I never heard anybody, okay, here's the finish. That was it. And they go back to playing cribbage. Well, that was that night. Whatever happened in cribbage, Mulligan reached across my table and punched Andre in the face. Bam! And I'm laying on the ground and go, oh, no. And Big Giant, you know how big that man is. I don't know if you ever got a chance to meet him, but he just laughed. Oh, okay, boss, we fight now. Bow! And Mulligan shot off like you see in the movies where shotgun. Jeez. These guys went at it, tore up my apartment, tore it up.
Now you said you were talking about Terry Funk too. What are some stories you remember of him?
Terry and me, we go way 30-something years, man. He is like my dad. Him and Vicky's like my mom. But me and Terry, you know, when Terry, Dusty did something that really pissed off Terry in Florida. You know, when he was leaving, he did the deal with Harley where Harley beat me, which was fine. I was a kid, you know. I was 8 months in the business, fortunate enough. And, you know, and that really pissed off Terry because when Dusty left, they only had one hot kid in the territory, which would have been me. And of course, me being young and green still, you know, they didn't think he could do it. But Terry knew he could do it because the ability was there. He knew it from when they started me. But having me get beat, you know, in 20 minutes was kind of a low blow because then you got a guy that just got beat in 20 minutes, you know, makes him mean. So Terry's pretty upset about that. But we went on. Dusty left. Dory took over the book. And Terry told him then he was going to drop the strap to me in Orlando. And that was it, brother. The rest was history. I mean, he dropped the strap to me in Orlando, 1, 2, 3 in the middle. Crowd, Florida went crazy. And then we had, you know, then I had Terry and Dory, night and day. You know, here I got Terry doing his comeback with the nickname Macho Manny Fernandez, you egg-sucking dog. You know, now everybody started, and I hated that, Macho Manny. That sounded so daggone disco, and I couldn't stand that, right? So we're going through that, and every interview we do, you know, he was so great with the mic, and what he did was, like the one time they keep showing it sometimes on 24/7 where he wraps me around the court, he's talking to me, he's wrapping the microphone cord around my legs so I can't get away, and he says, you said Dusty Rhodes was a better athlete than me, you're a liar. Of course it was a lie, you know, it's work, and he's so mad, take it back. Take it back. And I realized I was like this. And no, I ain't taking it back. And he started whacking me with that microphone. But he was whacking me so hard, he was raising lumps on my head. He didn't realize that we got back. He said, God dang. I had like 10 lumps on my head. So the angles, just the angles alone were awesome with Terry, man.
Well, you mentioned the Macho Manny.
Yep.
When did you become the Raging Bull? And who gave you that name?
Basically, at West Texas State. Because the Jake LaMotta movie had just come out not too long before that. And then some of the players back there, especially my roommate, he goes, why don't you just be the Raging Bull like him? You're always fighting anyway. Because when we watch the movie, he beats up his brother, he beats up all these people. So that's basically started. Then I didn't go with the Macho Manny, and they wanted something else to say. Just call me Raging Bull. You know, it's just the way the Flying Burrito came along, you know. It just off-the-cuff remark that I made because I couldn't stand David Crockett. Oh, my God, I couldn't stand him. Couldn't stand him one bit. He was just the way he came at you with his interviews. Loved Tony Schiavone. Loved him to death because I always, you know, pinched him or gave him a thumb and stuff, and he would jump around all crazy. Loved Tony Schiavone. David Crockett, couldn't stand him.
Well, the Flying Burrito, that stuck.
Yeah, you know, we were out drunk, and of course, David Allan Cole did the Great American Bachelor and stuff. So I was always a David Allan Cole fan. And he had that, I heard the burritos out in me living in California. I was raised in Texas, lived in California. So one time I was hungover, and the first time I used it, right after I used it, David Crockett interviewed instead of Tony Schiavone. They were like, whoa, what was that? And he comes on, David Crockett, oh my God, what was that? What do you call that? So that song was in my ear, right? I'm thinking about Flying Burritos. So I said, oh man, it's a Flying Burrito. Stuck. It's just stuck. That's it. That's how it took off. That's how it got created. Because I didn't really want to talk to David Crockett, and I was hungover.
Now, how did you end up in the NWA?
I ended up going to NWA after I left Amarillo territory. I went, and I started getting, I guess to them, I started getting pretty good. And they wanted me to leave. You never stay in a territory you start. They always want to send you away in case that territory gets hot. They can bring you back. They don't want to burn you out. So that's when I guess Dickie Murdoch picked up the phone, and from what I understand, he picked up the phone. Terry was telling me the story, and called Dusty and talked to Dusty, and then talked to Eddie Graham. Said, I think I got this kid with Latin background that'll get over in Florida. He could do all that stuff, the flying, the drop kicks, diving out the ring, and all that. So that's basically how I got started. You know, I was having my last match in Amarillo. Barry Windham, it's just me and him been training, breaking in Barry Windham. And Barry just started, and me and him were going up and down the road together. And they called me in and told me, well, we're giving you a week. We got you booked in Florida. Get there. And that's when I took off to NWA Florida. I got there and reported like I was told to. So the funny part about that is, the greatest thing about Florida is they were all shooters. They had the top talent, amateur hookers, shooters, guys that could take you apart, rip every bone in your body. So what I didn't know is ahead of time, Dickie Murdoch told these guys that I was a hell of an amateur. And there you have Jack and Jerry Briscoe, two-time National Collegiate champions. And you got Hiro Matsuda, Carl Gotch, and Boris Malenko. And you know, these guys were just great hookers and shooters. So when I reported to the office in Florida, I got off the airplane, took a cab, Tully, now, to the office. I took a cab, reported to a guy named Charlie Lay that was an old-timer from the 50s and 60s. His big heydays were the 50s, you know. And he says, oh, okay, you that kid from Texas? Yes, sir. And he called upstairs, and next thing I know, he goes, you got your bag with you? I said, yeah, I was taught that everywhere I go, carry my gear. That's what I was taught. He says, good, go in there, get dressed. And I'm like, get dressed? What the heck? I got to try out here? So I was kind of nervous. Got dressed, and he says, go through the curtains right there, you'll see the ring. Well, that's where they did the TV taping. As I walked through the curtains, there's Gordon Solie. First time I ever saw Gordon Solie. Something like that, and I introduced myself, and he said, Gordon Solie, nice to meet you. I went, whoo! He's still 100 proof, dude. He was lit. He used to wake up the Scotch, right? So I was like, oh, God. So I'm doing, he says, go ahead and get in the ring. And I'm going like, what the heck's going on, man? And I come down here. Next thing I know, here comes Jack Briscoe through the curtain. Here comes Jerry Briscoe, Dusty Rhodes, Eddie Graham. And I'm going, oh, God. Somebody told him I could shoot. Somebody told him I could shoot. I said, I'm going to get my butt kicked here. And of course, yeah. You know, I called Jack Briscoe Silk. He was so smooth. The way he got around me, everything I countered, everything I did, he ended up on top of me. Everything. And, you know, Jerry was a little rougher, but you know, we just went at it. And finally, I guess they go, yeah, he's good. And they go, okay. That was it. That was my introduction to Florida wrestling. I got my butt kicked by the Briscoes.
And besides the Briscoes, who do you say were the best shooters in that area?
Besides me, Jack and Jerry, and then me, I would say that. Outside of that, yeah, that was it that they had. That's all they needed, because I was the young one. The old guy said, okay, when somebody gets dumb enough to call this business fake, we'll just bring Manny in. He'll probably be up all night long drinking, be mad, and go in there and hurt him. They were right.
Now, after you proved yourself in the territory, what did they have any plans for you? What were the original ideas?
They were going to build me slowly, just like they did in Amarillo. They were going to, of course, you know, you coming into the territory, they have already people there. So you got to work your way up. That was the respect of the way old school is, you know. I come in, walk in the dressing room, Manny Fernandez, pleasure to meet you, introduce myself to everybody, and sit down. And, you know, every now and then I'd go out, Steve Kern, Eddie Graham, Jimmy Garvin, Mike Hammer, all the guys that were in there. Of course, the heels right away already knew about me. And Don Morocco and Joe LeDuc and King Curtis were already planning what to do with me in the ring. Oh, wait till we get this kid. We heard he does this. And they were just dying to get their hands on me. But I had to work my way up. First match. Reggie Parks, Bubba Douglas, great old timers that can carry a young guy like me and make good matches mean something. And it slowly graduated to where I got to Joe LeDuc, you know, Don Morocco. And then I was in for a loop, and oh, Lord, those guys were too much, brother.
What are some memories? Why do you say that?
Don Morocco was the greatest one. Was we're wrestling like that, and of course by then Jack and Jerry Briscoe were so great with me. They took me on their wing. I went everywhere with them. They'd pick me up, take me everywhere, and you know we'd just go up and down the ring, playing ribs on each other. Hey, the guys are going down the road, get in the trunk because they had this Lincoln Continental, the trunk pump up. Get in the truck and we'll moon them. I said, oh yeah. All fired up to do it. Yeah, get in the truck. I get in the truck. You feel the car moving out. Then you feel it change of direction. They pop the trunk, and I jump up with a big ass hanging out. I'm mooning everybody at Denny's. They backed up into Denny's. They did stuff like that. They'd get out. You know, they're so cool with me. They'd get out. We'd be drinking beer, coming home. Young guy. Do you mind if I pull over? I got to piss. And there's. Keep driving. Thomas, you're holding it so deep. Yeah, finally they stop. You run out of the car to piss off, so you don't piss all over yourself. And they take off. You're down, and next thing you see is headlights. And then they disappear. The taillights disappear. You're going like, what? You left me out here. You know, oh, what the heck? And I'm walking for about 10 minutes, and here they finally come back. I mean, those guys were great. I mean, you know, I don't know about those guys, but, you know, then Don Morocco, he started, because the ribs that they pulled on me were great. You know, they hid my bags, hid my boot. And one time I almost had to go out with one boot, stuff like that. That was old time days. Steve Kerner throw a dead snake in my bag, and no, snake and stuff, you know. That's the things they pulled on. Nowadays, the guys don't know about that stuff, which is sad. That's how we got close. That's how everybody came together. Because you did those silly things, you know, zipper glue your zipper on your bag, cut your bag to get to your gear. Steve Kerr was great about putting a lock on it. He'd lock your bag to a chair handle or something. You had to cut off your handle. You know, we did funny things like that. But Don Morocco one time I had a great match with him. Don was so powerful. Man, that dude was strong as heck. And we had some awesome matches. And he could pick me up and throw me, and I could land, fly back on him and stuff. But one time, I guess him and the Briscoe set up a rib. He had an amyl nitrate snapper in his trunks. And we're going back and forth, catches me with an elbow, snap mirrors me, front face locks me, and I heard something go, and I'm like, what? He says, hey kid, take a deep breath. Take 3 deep breaths. So like a dummy, you know, I'm a kid, green. And next thing I know is everything's going like, oh no. So I get up and the ring's moving. You know, that thing, you're breathing this right in your face. And the ring's going this way and this way. So he lets me go as I start to getting up, and I'm doing the drunk walk. I'm doing the drunk walk, and I can hear like an echo saying, see, I told you this kid could sell.
Were there any ribs that people pulled on you that you got really angry about?
No. The most serious rib is we knew that Frenchie got angry at us because he hates snakes. Scared to death of snake, any kind of snake. And me and Steve Kerner would go along in the summertime Florida. Everybody runs over snakes. So we'd go along, collect the snakes, and put them in his bag or throw them at him while he's dressed, and you cocksucker, you cocksucker. Starts screaming. One time we made him so mad, he actually took his .45 out and started shooting at us. Over our heads, of course, but he was so bad. So Eddie Graham brought us to leave Frenchie alone. So we had to leave Frenchie alone. Let's see, my 27th birthday, Jack and Jerry Briscoe, you know, they're Choctaw Chickasaw Indian. Of course, me being Hispanic, the big deal came up. Oh, you can't outdrink us Indians. Hey, Indians can't handle firewater. What's wrong with you guys? You guys get all crazy on Tuesday. So really? It's your birthday, right? So we had a little place called the Country Junction. So after the match, we'd all go and celebrate your birthday over there. Well, the bartender was my girlfriend. I had met her. So I get to the bar after my match. They're already there because they wrestled early. And there's 27 shots of tequila lined up over here where I'm sitting. 27 shots over there for Jack. 27 shots over here for Jerry. So I said, okay, so we're going to find out if you can keep up with these Indians. Me, Dusty Rhodes, Ray Stevens, and the Briscoes were there celebrating, and Michelle, Dusty's wife, celebrating my birthday. So, you know, you get your beer, you got your shot, come by, salute, whatever, take your first shot, you're all right. You get down the line, you get to about the 10th shot, boy, you're like, oh, Lord, no. But you got to drink your beer in your shot, and you got to finish your beer before you go to the end of the shot. That's the rules. So I'm going, these guys ain't even like moving. You know, and I'm already buzzed, and I've been trying to stay on my stool, and my girl's watching this, and I keep trying to take shots, and about the 13th or 14th shot, after that, I don't remember nothing. I just remember that back in the 70s, remember those old phones that rang? Well, apparently they took me home, and they put my head in, I guess I was throwing up. So I woke up with my head in the toilet, and the phone sat right next there. So by 7 in the morning, that phone started ringing like crazy, and my head was going, oh. And yeah, hey kid, how you doing? And hang up the phone. 2 seconds later, it ring again, oh. And it was Jack and Jerry playing with me, right? Because I was, deeply hungover. So they got over on me. And with the thing that gave up on them was my girl finally felt bad. She goes, you know, them two were just drinking water. Oh, so they're drinking shots of water. That's why they didn't react. They didn't react.
They're sitting there with a stone cold face, and you're
stone cold face, going like, oh, come on, let's do it. So but it took me about 6 months back to get the courage to go back to them. And I actually got them back.
How did you do that?
My girl worked. And I knew they liked snake bites, right? And I said, oh, yeah, dude, one of the best bands. Dusty Rhodes had a friend called Captain Lewis and the Bull Roper Band, and they were real good country band. And me and Barry had gone out to Country Junction and saw they were playing there. And Captain Lewis, real good friends with Dusty. So we invited him out there, and everybody's going to go see Captain Lewis. So I started, giving them, hey, let's do some shots. To Captain Lewis, to Captain Lewis, to Captain Lewis. Well, of course, I was doing the green tint shots with nothing. And they were doing their snake bites. And they got so wasted, they ended up in a ditch.
Wait a second, how'd they end up in a ditch?
Driving home. They live way out there in Odessa, Florida, which is like all the orange groves and everything, all the country roads. Thank God they own a body shop. But that was great. But it only led to them getting me more times. Yeah.
So it was good fun back and forth.
Oh God, it was great fun. It was great fun. Me and Bear, Humperdinck and Bugsy McGraw and Bad Leroy Brown. One time we're following us back from Fort Pierce, Florida. Me and Barry Windham are driving in his 63 Stingray, Vet, whatever it was. And we go, hey dudes, we passed them up. And they shot by us, and Humperdinck looks out with a big smile and goes, boom, boom, over our head. We're like, oh God. So then we started playing that dangerous game. Catch the guy, shoot over the roof. They got carried away though.
When you first started NWA, you teamed with Thunderbolt Patterson?
When I came to Atlanta?
When you came to Atlanta?
Yeah, I came to Atlanta. I teamed both. Well, Thunderbolt was over in Atlanta one time, and he got all busted up pretty much, but I don't know what happened to him in between, but Dusty wanted to see if I could give him a boost, give him a shot in the arm or whatever it was, so he knew I could carry the match. And of course, I didn't know that there was a conflict between, one guy I can't stand is Ole Anderson. Here's a guy that thinks he's a tough guy. They ain't a tough guy. I found out about it. I exposed his little gimmick. And the greatest one of my best students ever, Terry Allen, Magnum TA. He exposed them for what they were. Gene Anderson, I respect and love the man, but when he kept calling Terry Allen a coward, me and him used to have fallouts. I said, he's not a coward, he just outsmarted these clowns. Because, Ole Anderson, Iron Sheik, and Gene Anderson will recruit these guys to try out for pro wrestling. And one time when I came to NWA Mid-Atlantic, they were having a try at Independence Coliseum, and Dusty had called me, says, because in Florida I did it, I'd go out there and get in the ring, hung over, give me your best shot, damn, you're done. So I go to the Independence Coliseum, and they got this crew of kids, and they're running them all up and down the bleachers, up and down, then they're making the Hindu squats, sprints, then they get in the ring with them. They're tired, they're wore out. Who can't beat you? And I looked at him and go, whoa, that's how you guys are hurting these kids? You're lame, dude. You're supposed to be a tough guy. Why are you running them up and down the bleachers, making them do thousands of Hindu squats, like you saw when they had the deal tryouts for WCW, whatever that TV show was. Tough enough, yeah, that crap. And then you put them in the ring, their tongues are hanging to their damn knees, and then you beat them. That's real tough. That's real tough. Well, the guy that I praised for and ended up training in San Antonio, Texas, was Magnum. Terry Allen had wrestled here in Virginia. He saw what they were doing, said, heck with you, and walked away. So they called him a coward. No, I ain't a coward. That's a man with good sense. You ain't gonna do that to me and then get me in the ring. You wanted me, get me in there from the get-go. Don't run me up and down. See, and Ole had this deal with Thunderbolt. So, with Arn and Ole. And I had great singles matches with Arn Anderson. Great worker, great guy to work with. I mean, we did some great matches. So I figured, hey, away from Ole, me and Arn could carry the show. And Thunderbolt and Ole. But Ole was Ole. He wanted to prove he was a tough guy. So, Thunderbolt really couldn't do much. He was still busted up pretty good. But he still had the charisma of being Thunderbolt, Thunderbolt Patterson. So that's what ended up with in Independence Coliseum, where Ole was taking advantage of him. And I said, man, just tag me. And I was in one of those moods again. He tagged me. I just went to tie up with Ole, and I slapped the crap out of him. I said, try me now. So Arn came in and finished the match. So here's what people got to understand about me. I am me. If you piss me off, I do what I want to do. I'm not going to do it your way. If it's wrong, I'm not going to do it your way. I do it the way I want to do it. And that put me in Dusty's doghouse a lot. Because, hey, to me, like I told you, the people started me, it's a work, but it's a shoot. To me, it's a shoot. And I'm physical when I touch you. And if you can't take me grabbing you hard, smacking you hard, go play volleyball. It's supposed to be physical. And that's how I got in trouble a lot. So Dusty, when I got in Dusty's doghouse, I ended up with partners like Thunderbolt Patterson, Jimmy Valiant.
The B&B connection?
Yeah, right.
You did have a world title reign with Dusty, though.
Yeah, we did, but of course I couldn't. The reason that reign ended is because I'm me. I'll go out. See, Dusty's aura is about, you're a top guy, you're a main event guy, hang out with the main event guys. No, sir. You guys are boring. Down here with Hector Guerrero, Denny Brown, Mike Davis, all them guys, we have fun. We go to the bars, we enjoy ourselves. I'm not over here ordering super nachos with everything on it and a Diet Coke, okay? I'm not Dusty. and you hang around Dusty because he's a pro. I don't want to hang around any boss.
So was it like a clique?
Yeah, you know, they try to keep you in little cliques. And I'm not a clique type of guy. I'm going to hang out where I'm having fun. That's who I am.
What about you talk about Magnum TA training him? How big could he have been?
Magnum was big already. Magnum was. When Magnum came to San Antonio, Buzz Sawyer ripped him and his family off for 25 grand. His family had to mortgage his house to get that money. And of course, he never trained him, left him stranded. And Magnum came to San Antonio. At the same time there, Joe Blanchard, I was working out with a couple guys. One of them was Al Perez, that just started the business. Magnum came in and met with Tully's dad, Joe Blanchard. And Joe said, I think we could do something with this guy. I said, I know we can. Look at him, man. He looks like Magnum TA. Because then the Magnum series is hot, right? So that's when I started, you know, going over things with him and training Magnum, working out with him. And then he left and went to Florida, and then he went to Louisiana. He got over strong. And by the time we met up again, Dusty brought us together again because he knew what I did for Magnum in the Mid-Atlantic, in Charlotte. And it was great to see him because he's going, and he had all the tools, you know. And me and him together on top, you know, top baby faces, along with Dusty, carried the territory. And if he wouldn't have had that accident, I don't know where the kid would be right now.
And you talk about Magnum, who is a Chesapeake, Virginia native as well. How big was that when that accident happened? I mean, how bad did that shake the entire structure of where you guys were headed in NWA?
Oh man, brother, it took the minute I got the call. My wife got the call because I was real close to Magnum, and I rushed to the hospital. I knew then we lost something major. We lost something. I mean, we when we started coming together, we were kicking WWF's butt anyway. You know, we had superior talent to what they had. We were outdrawing them. But when we lost Magnum, we lost a lot. A lot. When you lose a guy like that, it's like losing Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. And see what happened to them. Yeah. You know, you lose a guy like that, you know, you lose a lot. It's hard to make up something like that. It's hard for a babyface, white meat babyface, what we called him, to come along. We had Ricky Morton. But still, Ricky Morton was Rock and Roll Express. That's all he ever, you know, Ricky Morton was the little guy, good-looking kid, everybody loved. But Magnum was a stud.
Magnum was cool.
Yeah, Magnum was cool. And he had the build. He had the big stud that you could believe he could beat the Harley Races and the Don Moroccos and that stuff. You know, it's comparing the Flairs of the world and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a huge loss. What
were the plans? Do you know any plans that were supposed to happen for Magnum?
I suppose Magnum, the way we were going, as strong as we were getting, eventually probably would have had the world strap. I mean, he would have been perfect, great guy to hold it, and drawing power is unreal. In the 80s, he had drawing power that's unreal. And that's one of the main reasons you put, you know, Harley was a great physical-looking specimen, but he had drawing partner. Look at me. I don't know why I put butts in the seats. You know, I don't know why I sold out everywhere I went. I don't know that. I don't have the Magnum look and everything, but I did. There was something there. The greatest thing I ever told was a guy, when I turned heel on Boogie, on Jimmy Valiant, the guy just said, so what are you guys mad about? He's still the Raging Bull. He still wrestles the same way. He just comes out a different door. And I thought that was a classic, which is true. I still never changed my style. I was physical as a babyface. I just got a little more physical as a heel. That was it. But, you know.
How big would that have been? You know, Raging Bull, Manny Fernandez, Magnum TA headline.
I was hoping.
Starcade.
Yeah, you know, they turned me heel after he gets, you know, just after the accident. I turned heel. I mean, if that would have never happened, I can imagine. Here I am, a guy that, the pride I would have, like the pride I have when I see R-Truth. Everybody, all these clown promoters that people don't understand about, these guys that go out here and have a wrestling school like the Crockett's of the world, the idiots at Denton, Texas, those guys are rip-off artists because my glory is watching my guy make it to the show. And when they sit there, Homicide sits there and does an interview in Vogue and says it wasn't for Manny Fernandez, R-Truth to tell you Manny Fernandez trained me, you got a problem with that? Yeah, I could shoot. He taught us to shoot. Yeah, I can wrestle physical. He taught us how to do that. You have a problem with that? Oh, they're the first ones to jump. If you say something bad about me, because of what I do, when I train my guys, I become part of them. I take care of them, they take care of me, you know? And to wrestle Magnum, oh, dude, this is Super Bowl. There you go, Super Bowl.
That would have been a sellout. I mean,
Yeah, it would have. I mean, it would have been like the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's like I'm saying. Watching my kids excel, JBL. Now look, he's gone beyond wrestling now. You know, Booker T, Stevie Ray, all them guys went homicide. Low Key just signed with the Fed. You know, those are my people. You know, I lost Crash Holly. You know, I lost Rick Rude. You know, basically, when Dusty put me with Rick Rude was green as heck. And the greatest thing about Rick Rude, he wanted to learn. He wanted to listen. You know how many kids do that now? They're champions in their own mind already. They know everything. And here to get a kid that looked like Rick Rude, the body stretch he had, to sit there and let me yelling at him, no, come on, bring him over here. You know, but he listened. He wanted to learn. And when he left me, I said, dude, in this business, it's about you and me and your family. If you can get $1 million up there and protect your family and security for your family, go get it. Don't stick here because of this belt. It's nothing. Go make your money. That's why I loved him for it. He came to me and told me his plans. I said, hey, go for it, dude. We're in this for money for the rest of our lives. Security for your family. You know, of course, I didn't like losing him the way I lost him. But I got real close with Rude. I got real close with Magnum. I didn't like, you know, I spent times in rehabilitation in that hospital in the pool, swimming pool with Magnum, helping him with the computer. I spent a lot of times. I wanted him to come back, you know, because he's part of you, something you kind of created.
now you and Rick Rude were such a dominant tag team, and such a, you know, a lot of wrestling fans today always bring up, you know, Manny Fernandez, Rick Rude. What an excellent tag team. Let's talk about before Rick Rude went to WWF, about I guess 87 or so.
87.
Talk about when you guys started. How did you feel about pairing with him? And whose idea was it?
That was Dusty's idea. That was Dusty. They saw him in Memphis, and they kind of liked the structure of him. And they put him with Paul Jones. They had singles matches, but Paul Jones wasn't bringing out the best of him. So then Dusty got this idea. Let's put him with Manny. He'll learn from Manny. And like I said, he was wide open to learn. And the first time I told Rick Rude, I said, hey, dude, here's the situation. They brought us together, but remember, you're a gimmick, I'm the worker. That's what they want. So learn from me. He didn't say nothing smart. He didn't, I know everything. I know what I'm doing. No, we went along doing that. He learned from me when we tagged. Of course, we had a great, you know, matches with Rock and Roll Express. They're great guys. Ricky Morton. You know, Robert Gibson should be shining his shoes till the day he dies for having Ricky Morton. Because we didn't, Robert Gibson was so clumsy, we didn't want to run him in the ring at all. We didn't run him in the ring at all. That's why we picked on Punky all the time, you know. I called him Punky for Punky Brewster, but, you know, we had great matches. There he learned. He learned from Rock. He learned from Ricky Morton and from me. And all these matches brought him along. One of the greatest things is when we kicked it off, they didn't think Dusty's idea was, they won't get along. They won't last long. They didn't know that we meshed so good. It was just a shot in the dark. Just throw them together with Manny. Maybe I'll get some fire. Boom. And it was a shot in the dark, but we meshed so good that when we won the World Tag Team titles, we went out and defended them in West Virginia, in Charleston, West Virginia, against Rock and Roll. And we had to go hour. So we go this hour. We're wrestling, and of course, it's main time. It's really me and Ricky. We started the match, 12 minutes of tag. He did something to me, tags Robert. I get Robert, tag Rude, and Rude feeds into him. Boom. 2 minutes later, it tagged me and Ricky again. So me and Ricky did 47 minutes of the 60 minutes, right? So I'm wore out, tired. You know me, everybody tell you I was a party, drink all night kind of guy. You know, stay if they got booze going, I can drink in there. You know, so I get in the dressing room and I'm sitting there, I'm sweating like crazy, sweating all that beer out. I look over at Rude and say, Rude, dude, when we go an hour, you got to put in your time. He goes, no. When we started this thing, you said, you're the worker and I'm the gimmick.
You guys had a hell of a run as champions. Long one. And I mean, even I remember seeing like shirts, merchandise, you know, Rude in the Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, which is kind of unusual for heels back then.
Right, it was. But it was over so strong. We got over so strong. And the thing about that is when when they do the contract, instead of, I always loved the old school way is you get paid by the people you drew, by the butts you put in the seats. You're the main event, you sell out, you get a percentage of the house. But of course, you know, everybody's, WWE started buying out. Dusty talked Jim Crockett into buying all this out, take over the world with WCW, oh Lord. And then they start putting you on paper, doing these contracts. Of course, Dusty would go in and say, this guy, I need Manny, I need Magnum, this amount of money he's got to make this year because he's drawing the power. But when you're tag team with me, and you're shortchanging them, and they think I'm not going to tell my partner, they're full of crap. He's a team with me, and the team is getting over. I'm not getting over, the team's getting over. He's getting over, I'm getting over together. So when this found out about it, you know, and Rude did his own thing, he said, hey, I could get a better deal. Go make the deal. You know, go make they actually made him leave. That's a sad thing. They actually made him leave.
Why do you say that? Because,
you know, they were robbing him. He was worth more. You know, he was getting over now. People believed in Rude. You know, if we went off like he had the strap match with Wahoo by himself, it was getting over now. They believed in Rude. That he could go away from me. When I went and wrestled Ricky singles, he went and wrestled Wahoo in shows. Like we had an A schedule and B schedule, WCW. Of course, the A schedule would go to the major cities with Dusty and Flair and Tully, all the little butt lickers. And the B schedule with me and Rude and Wahoo and Rock and Roll Express would go to Florence, South Carolina, and they'd go to a big city, Columbia, whatever. But they were getting mad because we were outdrawing them. The B team was kicking their butt when it came to, we did 33,000 people in Florence, South Carolina at the football stadium. It was packed, you know?
But before you could get with the team with Rude, you had to do the heel turn. And
yes.
That was pretty big at the time when you took that briefcase from Paul Jones.
Yeah, you know, when they came and approached me that, I was like, oh, dude. And they said, oh, yeah. Wahoo's back, baby. So when I came to the territory, NWA Mid-Atlantic, right, Wahoo was heel. And when I popped in, when they first flew me in, we did TV, and Wahoo was killing everybody with a chop. When I came in, Wahoo chopped me, and I just stood there. It just took off. And then I said, oh, payback. Now you're a baby. I get to beat you up as a heel. So I was all for it because then, hey, wow, payback. Time for me to kick your butt. You're going to sell now, right? So that's one of the main reasons I went with it. Then, of course, you know, it was kind of fun. I love Jimmy Valiant, respect Jimmy Valiant, but I can't do his style. You know, and then once that we did the turn and everything, I had to lay ground rules down for Jimmy. Manny don't play pee-pee on Manny. Stick your thumb in Manny's butt. Those are no-no. Manny don't play clown. I'm not a clown. I don't do clown spots. And I said, oh, bully Willie, baby. Oh, bully Willie, baby. Come on, bully Willie. No, Jimmy, no.
So what was the heat like in the arena, though, when you
brother,
took the briefcase?
When I took that briefcase, I was walking back. Like I said, I just heard that one man. But then people, the worst thing in pro wrestling back in the day was silent heat because you didn't know what they were going to do then. And when I did that, boom, and then when they saw the shock of it and I walked back, you could drop a pin in here, and I was like, oh, no. Because I know about silent heat. All of a sudden, like a damn tidal wave just hit you with it all come rushing, and I was like, just get back in the dress.
What's the wildest thing, I guess, you saw in the crowd happen on one of the shows?
What I did was Ricky Morton.
Yeah.
Ricky Morton was a little good white meat babyface guy. And we were working on that arm, and everybody saw it from TV when we did that. And we did a show up in Tennessee. Now, where was it? Johnson City, Tennessee. And, you know, they're from Tennessee, right? And the first thing we did was go back to that arm and started that arm, which is logical. You've got a hurt arm, we're going to go after it. And then people were like, oh, no. And then I'm looking up, and pretty soon the railings, like the people are crowding the ring now. It's like they're moving their chairs up. And the railings are coming in, and I got Ricky Morton up in it, and then I see them all like this. Then you just got them hooked, and you look, and you see the people's faces in their eyes. They're like, hey, dude, these people are about to riot, man. Get up and do something. Get your butt up and do something. Duck this and hit me. And Ricky lays back there and goes, no, not yet. And I'm going, dude, this place is going to, these Tennesseans are getting pretty angry at us here, bud. Come on, and fight back. No, not yet. And pretty soon, you know, people were right up to the apron, and Rude's looking like this. Oh, Lord. People are coming up to the apron, and I'm jerking Ricky up, and he's staying down. I'm get up. Get up. And I said, dude, we got to do something before we end up with all these people in this ring. Then he goes, okay. That's heat. Yeah, that's heat. Especially in Tennessee, and they were from Tennessee, you know. And then people were taking that serious. But you got to be physical. And that's what we were. We were being physical. It's just like Ole and Gene used to do. Just like that. But, you know, people, they love Ricky Morton. Same thing would happen if it would have been Magnum. That even would have been hotter. That heat, that silent heat right there would be scary. Because them women love him so much, you don't know what they carry in them purse. You never know when they got that purse. Pull out a bazooka and shoot you or something. Place I seen a woman in Hillsborough, North Carolina. Well, I was told about it. Is took a straight razor and cut Mulligan, Blackjack Mulligan. When they started a little riot there, Blackjack was Rufus R. Jones. Going on with Rufus R. Jones, and she slashed him. He had 87 stitches from a straight razor. That's why, you know, you got to watch your people. You got to watch your backs. One thing about back in the day, we watch each other's back no matter. When you went outside, something happened, you know, you know, you kayfabed them. You spoke your language, kayfabed them. You spoke corny to the wrestler, tell him, Dizak, watch your back. Boom, boom, duck, I'm going to knock this guy out. Which I did one day with Wahoo, when the guy was getting too close to Wahoo, and I was heel Wahoo, but he hated Wahoo and was calling him Squahoo and everything. So I shit can Wahoo by we get it heat of the match and just threw him outside, and the guy got right up on the railing with a big megaphone, was acting like he was near Wahoo. When I saw him do that, I just said, Doc. And when he did, I plastered that megaphone into his mouth. Busted up all his mouth and stuff, you know, just to get him away from Wahoo. And what's so funny is the guy even called himself afterwards. He goes, "It's all right, Manny. He ducked."
So this was like a common occurrence. I mean, this happened pretty often. The guys nowadays don't really, they can't appreciate what you guys actually went through.
Yeah, they can't appreciate that. When we went out there and some of these spot shows, we call them, little town halls, armories and stuff like that, it was a dangerous environment. These people believed in so bad, they'd bring their pocket knives or straight razors, whatever. So I got whacked by an 80-year-old woman with a cane one time. She had a steel cane and hit me so daggone hard. I was like, hard dang. And I showed Rudy, I said, look, it's the welt. Yeah. Now, they're saying that the business is entertaining. It's entertaining. That's what they say, it's entertainment. They took that suspense away from it, So I guess people don't do it like they did.
Now we talked about some of your tag matches that you had. You also had some very successful singles matches and feuds in NWA. Talk about working. The first Starrcade that you worked was that '84 with Black Bart?
With Black Bart?
Yeah.
The brass knuckles match. Oh God.
Match.
Number one, Black Bart's one of the greatest guys personally. Great guy, he's a great individual, but the funniest guy is you have to bite your tongue when you wrestle Black Bart because all the little silly noises he makes when you whack him. It's like, God, stop that, trying to be serious here, and every time you grab him and whack him, and it was, but those are, Black Bart was good and fun. He was easy to work with. He could take a pounding from me. He didn't complain when I whacked him. And it's like I teach my kids. If you're gonna hit him in the chest and back, hit him in the chest and back. They're grown men, they're in this business. You don't knock out his tooth, that's fine. So he knew, most of the guys, in Japan they call me cemento, which means cement in Spanish. That's how solid I am. I grab a hold of you, I'm there. I'm there, I'm gonna have that hold and ain't going nowhere. So it's got to be believable to me. So I teach my kid that style.
Let's talk about your match at the following Starrcade after that.
With Abby?
Run with Abby the Butcher.
Oh my God.
Mexican Death Match.
That, to tell you the truth, that was supposed to be top billing. Of course, that's when we simulcast Dusty and Tully and all that. So that Mexican Death Match was supposed to go on last and blah, blah, blah. We're going to do the big Mexican match. But Dusty Rhodes had a habit of doing this. Me and Rude and Rock and Roll were main event. Then he changed his mind that night, and he'd be main event. Big deal. We got out of there early, hit the bar. That's my attitude. You want to be a star, go be a star. I know it's work. You know, I'm gonna go hit the bar. You know, you're killing into my drinking time now, buddy. So if you want to go on last, good for you. Abby didn't like that. Abby didn't like that. He thought he was going to get shortchanged. He didn't like it because he thought we drew the deal with the Mexican death, which is basically true. And I've had great matches before that with Abby, and I love working the big guy. And when he found out, he just went ballistic. I couldn't get him to stop more. I said, Abby, whatever. We're still, no, we're not. We're not main event. They won't give us our money. I said, because then you still got paid for your, what you do, put his ass, butts in the seats. Excuse me. And he was that angry about it. And I said, dude, just go on. He said, okay, you just follow me tonight. I said, whatever, dude. You know, whatever you want to do, I'll do with you. And he was just determined to have a match that'd be so good, nobody'd be left to watch the main event. And actually, that's what he did. He got angry about that, Dusty, and he did some. Brother, when I suplexed him, I couldn't believe he called it. I was laughing so hard, bleeding, laughing, going, you're a nutcase. I ain't doing it. And that ain't happening. It happened. And then people went crazy. And that right there was good enough to close the showdown.
Right.
It's good enough to close the showdown. Of course, then he took a monkey flip, wanted to do all this running up his back. I mean, he just went out. He went all out. He just couldn't stand it. He let him know. And actually what happened after we left the Omni, the people where we did it at the Omni, they were gone. They just stayed around. You know, once that match was over, Mexican Death Match was off, the whole Omni just about left. So they lost that audience to simulcast. You know.
Did you guys change up the match at all? You said you did a couple spots like that, but was there a different plan going into it besides being the main event? What was the idea for that match?
The idea to that match was he was going to have the greatest match ever. Whatever he had to do to get it over, he was determined to do it. There's a couple of times he got me mad because he pulled that fork out and stuck it in my well, we messed up something and ended up sticking it in my chin, dangling from my chin. You know, that, and he was just trying. The hardest thing for me was trying to get his head in the game. He was that upset. So we're doing this, so I was just calm down, dude. You know, let's go out here and just tear the house down. That was just basically, he just wanted to have the greatest match. And, you know, you don't see Abby doing those kind of things. Number one, that's what's amazing. He doesn't do that for just anybody. But he was so mad, and like I said, I've had great matches with this guy. He was determined to have a classic. And to me, and people watch that match, it's a classic. And everybody talks about the suplex. Oh my God, you suplexed him. No, if he didn't want it, it wouldn't happen. He unbelievable. He got it. See, so that's what he wanted. That's basically what we did. You know, it's just he was upset with Dusty. Me, I blew off Dusty. He'd been for 20-something years. I've been working with Dusty. I always kind of got him mad. I was used to getting mad, so I didn't care.
Were you ever contacted to work for WWF or go to work at WrestleMania, the first one?
You know, when I started this business and I got hot in Florida, Eddie Graham lent me to Vince Sr. When Victor Predator Morales and Victor Estrada or Jose Estrada were losing their steam. And I was young and I was hot in Florida. And of course, Florida Championship Wrestling went all the way up to the coast. And Ben Sr. called and wanted to know if he could borrow me for a little bit. And I worked for the man. He's a great man. But I was getting over so strong that he wanted me to stay. And
this was Vince Sr.
Vince Sr., yes. He wanted me to stay. And he was a great man, but I knew that I belonged in Florida. I was only like, okay, use him for a couple shows, jump your shows, get more boost on you guys, but he's coming back home, which I already knew that. But outside of that, I never had no interest in WWF. I never wanted to go to New York. Even when we wrestled with WCW, we did the Garden, did the Meadowlands and all that, I wouldn't even stay in New York. I'd stay in Philly or Jersey or whatever. You know, there's something about New York I never really wanted to be there. Never had outside of when I did that, you know, that trade out with, in the old days in '79. So, no. I never considered it. Rude asked me, when Rude got asked, of course, they said, you know, we'd like to bring your partner with us, but we don't know what his reaction is going to be. And, you know, and their idea was, the stupid ideas that they did to Terry Taylor with the Red Rooster, where they got Dusty Rhodes and put the polka dots on him to embarrass him and everything like that. And that to me is, you know, if you're that desperate to be somebody, then you're not a man. You know, their idea was me come out there, the horn deal with the Raging Bull with the big horns on it. You're not going to punk me. You're not gonna punk me. I don't need it that bad. The idiots like Flair and Dusty and all them want to live the limelight, you know. No, not me. No need to. My limelight was serving my country. That was good enough for me. That I know the rest of my life. They can't take that away. Nobody. Not Vince Jr., not Ted Turner, not any promoter in the world can take that away from me. That's my limelight. At least I can stay. When the day I die, I said, at least I served my country. That's it. I never had that. It's like I told you earlier, I have no ego about this business. I owe everything to this business. It don't owe me nothing.
What are your thoughts about Paul Jones?
Let me see. Rude couldn't stand a man. There was times that I literally had to hold back Rude from jerking his neck off. He was sick. See, me and Rude were hot. The Road Warriors were hot. And we used to have great matches against each other outside of there, especially in Minneapolis. But Rude hated Jones because he wasn't like Paul Ellering. If you notice, Paul Ellering always stood behind his men. Let them talk, then he got his little piece in. Paul Jones wanted to be in the front. Of course, he was Jimmy Crockett's stooge. Everything I did went back to Jimmy Crockett. Thanks to Paul Jones. Oh man, he went out and beat up somebody over here. And always got to the office. So he always wanted to be in front of us, and that drove Rude crazy. I didn't care. But it drove my partner crazy. He couldn't stand it. Why can't he go behind us? I said, I know, dude. The office stooge. That's why. You know, and it just drove him nuts. It drove him nuts. And first of all, I didn't think he was a good interviewer. You know, we wanted to get our stuff out, but he took so much in the beginning that by the time I got to Rude, he didn't really have that much time, and it made him angry, which I don't blame him. It should have been us. He's the manager. And we didn't ask for him. We didn't need a manager, really, you know. We didn't need a manager. We could have made it on our own, but they had to have a spot because he was Jimmy's boy. So we ended up with him. And then, of course, there was the part where he got me so mad one time, and he got his head shaved, and we laughed, you know. I thought it was great. They bought him that new Stetson hat, and he just kept on going back to the office. Oh, man, he was doing this, man, he was doing that, blah, blah, blah. I was always getting called from the office. So I knew where it was coming from. So I got so mad one time, we were flying on our own planes that Crockett bought, you know, with our money. Well, Wahoo let him know about it, right? So he left that Stetson hat in the box there, and old Manny, being Manny, took a good-sized crap in it, put it back in the box, let him know how much I liked him, telling on me. And the greatest part about that is when he found out, he came in there, he was so mad, he was sitting there going, and if I find out whoever did this, I'm going to just kick their ass, I'm going to beat their butt. And Brad Armstrong goes, oh yeah, really? Manny did it. I want to see that.
He never did anything at all, did he?
Nah.
Did he even confront you about it?
Hell no. Oh, you don't know all. Well, I did the convention in Charlotte 2 years ago, right? And he's heard about it. I guess he finally, because I've told the story to a bunch of kids, you know, and they do. And he shows up, and, you know, Paul Jones is the kind of guy, and I kind of believe in karma. Everything I've done for this business has been multiplied by my talent in the business, and by them telling people, hey, yeah, I got trained by Manny Fernandez, and yeah, I can shoot, and yeah, I can do the things he does. They enjoy that, you know, and karma comes back like that. Paul Jones heard a lot of people ripped off a guy for millions of dollars and bankrupted him when it was South Atlantic and out of Charlotte. A guy named Mike Lambeth, and him and George Scott did it. And the guy went bankrupt. He lost his real estate, everything, lost his gym, all that stuff. So now Paul Jones, you know, when I saw him, he's all kind of crippled up and stoved up and stuff like that. And at the convention, and of course he wanted to have no part of me. You know, and of course, guys that know the story and read about the story online and all the stuff, and some of the stories put on the internet, they were calling, of course, you know, being stirring some crap up. Hey, Paul, can you take a picture with Manny? I'm going to take a picture with Manny. He don't want to take a picture with me. And the funniest part about it, when I finally did, he goes, come on, Manny, go. I said, it's up to him, man. So I said, all right, come on, I'll get by him and take a shot. When I went stood by him, Ole Anderson sitting there, can't move. Sad thing is somebody has to pick him up to get him to move. And he says, oh, man, look at you. You're still ugly. I said, yeah, and you're still stupid.
Said you had matches with the Road Warriors.
Yeah.
Some classics there. Were they really as tough as everyone says they were in the ring, or could you man up to them?
No. Hawk and me had a great relationship. Animal tried it one time and found out I wasn't going to play. When he hurt me that one time, don't do it again. And Hawk told him, he said, don't mess with the little Mexican. And then he found out. But, you know, I saw Animal a couple years ago, too, and I was still pretty upset. Hawk and me were party dogs. We went out, had fun, we stayed out all night drinking. I mean, Hawk was a great guy. Great individual. I mean, I used to love, especially when he beat up Randy Savage, but left him lying there.
For the fans that don't know, can you briefly tell that story?
What, the Hawk? Well, it's something, Hawk broke up with his girlfriend, who was the governor's daughter or whatever, some politician. And he broke up with her, and whatever reason, Randy Savage ended up with her, right? And they were in Japan. We were all in Japan. We're doing a big show in Japan. And some words were going on about this, and Randy was mouthing off about, Hawk had her now. Hawk was dating her now. So now Randy's running his mouth about her. Just that and that, what he did, I guess. Ran his mouth to the wrong guy. Now, Hawk is, the people say I'm mean, Hawk's right there with me. He don't take shit from nobody. Nobody. And from what I understand, they're playing Randy's music, and they played the whole song, went through, and no Randy. And they restarted the song like a bunch of dummies, but that's the Japanese for you. And no Randy. So everybody's freaking out. Where the heck's Randy? Well, he's lying back in the dressing room. Hawk laid him out. Split him open, laid him out. He's laying there in full blood. He wasn't that tough till we run his mouth to Hawk. See, there's a lot of wannabe tough guys, then there's legitimate tough guys, and what people don't understand, what happens in that dressing room, stays in that dressing room. Apparently he stayed. That was the fun part. Yeah. So that was one of the things. But no, I mean, Joe, I saw Joe a couple years ago, Animal, at he come up and chucked me. You know, I teased him. Of course, me being me. Hey, you think your kid's going to the first round? Not likely. Hey, in the NFL, you can't make tackles 20 yards downfield, like your boy does. I had a great run. I mean, oh God, Japan was wonderful to me. I signed a deal. I started $2,200. By the time I left Japan, I was making $5,200 a week. $5,200 a week. That's pretty good. Not Bruiser Brody money. See, I had some money, 12, 10 grand a week, Terry Funk money, but it's still pretty good money. And I was guaranteed 60 weeks a year. And that's pretty good money. I was happy there. I had fun there. I could shoot with the young kids. I could do my pan craze with Gary Albright, you know, Max Payne, all them guys. They were shooters. We had fun over there. You know, and of course, we had fun until I ran into some idiot named Big Van Vader. Oh, God. And I used to have fun tours. My tours in Japan were fabulous. I had Dickie Murdoch, Bob Orton Jr. on most of my tours. And, of course, being with Dickie, you know, I had a blast. Yeah. Being with Dickie, I had a blast. And especially because him and Bob Orton knew I was ticklish. I'm very ticklish. I mean, there's one part where they jumped me in the dressing room. Dusty sat on me, Hawk, Animal, and everybody in Rude, and everybody tickled me, and I peed all over myself. So what? I mean, what could I do? You have that much weight on you, what the hell are you going to do, right? Yeah. You know, that's how ticklish I get. So, but Dickie and Orton knew this, and every time we went to a restaurant, they made sure he sat on each side of me. And I'd be sitting in the middle. So every time I try to scoop up a yakitori, something, and things go off flying everywhere. Food would be jumping in the air. Yeah, I had a blast. Japan went great for me.
Now, what were your issues with Vader?
Well, the first time I met Vader, I had heard about him calling himself Baby Bull. Right? And I heard, and right away because Raging Bull. And then when somebody, AWA, Vern Gagne, decided he wanted to have a bull, they named Leon White Baby Bull. So the first time I met him, he was all cocky. He had the gimmick in Japan with the helmet. And he got trained over there, so, you know, they were catering to him because they wanted him to be this big monster who couldn't work. He couldn't work a lick. He was hurting everybody. So we went over there, and he introduced himself as, I'm the Baby Bull from... I said, no, dude, there's only one bull in this business. Got that? So we didn't hit it off good right off the back. Because I made him know there's only one bull in the business. So, you know, we didn't hit it off. But he was a bully. The first time on tour with him, he was out there. He had to wrestle Fujinami, Chochuriki, but he was hurting him. But then Larry Sharp had the Monster Factory. I'm pretty sure you remember that. And he used to put out some pretty big Bam Bam Bigelow and some big kids. And he sent one kid on my third tour there, one kid named Crusher Krunski. This kid was about 6'8". Big kid, good looking kid. Soft spoken, real respectful, old school way. And Leon saw him, and Leon started freaking out because the Japanese would go, oh yeah, he's big, oh yeah. But the kid didn't know anything but respect. Larry taught him the same way. So he didn't realize this is the first time he'd been to Japan. In Japan, you get styles got to be different. They're going to come at you. You better shut them down. If you let them keep coming, they're going to take you apart. He didn't know that. So the Japanese company, they love big guys. So right away they see him, they're going to put him over. But he doesn't know how to get over. So he goes out there and they tell him to, beat the young guy. But he gives the young guy all the match. And the Japanese company, the bosses are going crazy. Oh, no, kill him. And he finally beats the guy with a kind of a choke slam, pick up, boom. Looked real good. We came in and I go, hey, kid, come here, man. I said, you never been to Japan, have you? He says, no. I said, brother, you got to go after them. They're trying to get you over. They love your size. I said, just go out there and eat them up, dude. Especially these young boys. That's why they give you the young boys. You go out there and crush them. Don't sell for them, dude. You're too big. So he kind of understood that there. And then about 10 minutes later, Leon White walks in. He said something about that move. And he said, don't use it again. That's my move here. And I went, really? Don't grab a headlock. I had a patent on it. Oh, and that really pissed him off. Because everybody knows that, Manny's going to mouth off. So, of course, he's going to... So he comes like he's going to attack me. And I done finished wrestling. When you're done finished, they give you the big Korean bottle of beer. And he's sitting by my side, and he kept coming. I said, keep coming. I said, come on, I got something for you. What are you going to do with that? So I'm going to bust it over your head, and I'm going to cut you with it. So keep coming. So Diddy comes, and Dickie Murdoch cut right in front of him. He says, you got a problem with my boy? Oh, he shut down quick. He was like, oh, no, took off, back to where he went. So this whole tour, Mr. White kept picking on the big guy. The big guy was scared. He was a big, gentle guy. I don't think he probably ever fought anybody in his life. So he's kind of intimidated by Leon. So I was getting mad the whole tour. I said, this guy's a bully. So I got so mad one time. The office came to me and asked me if I could work with Leon a little bit, show him how to do the running clothesline, like I got to do stuff, so he doesn't kill Chochu Ricky, the bosses. So he don't kill the bosses. I said, I ain't working with that dude. How with you? I want nothing to do with that guy. He's a bully. And they kept on money song. And Dickie says, go on, man. Might be better for you. Might get more money at the end of the tour. I said, well, oh, yeah, more money? Oh, yeah, okay. So I go out there, and I'm going to get laced up. The young boys are putting a ring together. I go out there, and he goes, first thing the guy has, oh, so you're going to teach him big man moves. I said, who the hell said you're a big man? There I went again. Pissed him off again here on the fight. But eventually I got in there, showed him some things. He did it right that night. The office was happy because they didn't get killed by him. So, they come over and thank me. But he never came and thanked me. Never came. Got on the bus with us and everything. And took off. Never said thank you. Hey, thanks, whatever. And so I finally got upset and I said, yeah, thanks, brother. I wish I could work like you. And then, of course, he gets all ruffled up and starts cutting the back. And Bob Orton goes, where are you going? You were up front, ain't you? So get up front. He turns his little tail around and goes back. And I was sitting there going like, well, you can't get me, So he really got me mad that day. And they had the big helmet, the steam and everything coming out, everything. They made the mistake of telling me where the helmet was. So I went over there, saw where the helmet was. I unscrewed the back and saw I had 2 CO2 canisters in it. So I took them out, screwed it back in, I hit him. That night he goes out, puts the helmet on, and I was telling him, hey, dude, why don't you put some charisma in your match, man? You got all this stuff like that. That's charisma. That's how people get over, charisma, little showmanship. Do the Dusty Rhodes, beta. So he went out there. He doesn't know what I done. Nobody does. Nobody knows. I did it on my own. He goes, and as he comes down, of course, the Japanese, ooh, and they open up for him, ooh, and he comes down the ring. He takes the helmet, sets it down, Veda. Nothing. Now, if it didn't come out the first time, why the hell are you going to do it the second time? So he does it all again. Veda. Nothing. Hey, dummy, there's nothing in it. I got in trouble. Then he really got mad.
How'd they find out it was you?
They know me. The thing about the Japanese companies, they know me. If something goes off on the tour that I'm on, they come, Manny-san. That's all I knew how to say, Manny-san. Why me, dude? Man said, we know you're not funny. You're funny. I thought it was great. Dickie and them were falling out laughing. And Bob Orton, and that time I had Steve Williams with me, and they were dying. They were just dying.
I'd heard other stories about Vader. I'd heard one time in an interview with Paul Orndorff said that.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, tell us about that story.
You know, let me tell you some little background. Once upon a time, there was 3 areas of all the tough guys that became pro wrestlers. There was West Texas State, and those guys were legitimate tough guys, except for Tully. I forgot about Tully. Okay, we had to have one black sheep in the family, right? And then you had the West Tampa boys. Dickie Slater, Paul Orndorff, Jimmy Garvin, Steve Kern, Mike Graham. Those guys were tough as nails. Al Perez, those guys. Then you had the Minnesota crew. Believe it or not, Paul Airline was a tough guy. Hawk, Kusha Khrushchev, Barry Darso, Wayne Bloom, Mike Enos, all them. You had a bunch of guys who were legitimately tough. They wouldn't take crap from nobody, you know. And Paul Orndorff was one of those guys. And you know, of course, he had that defect with the nerves, died in his arm, all of a sudden. And when Leon White made it to WCW, he was hurting people. You know, it's one thing to get a job guy and make him look like you're going to kill him, but not do it. He was hurting them. He broke the one kid's back. People were complaining. So Orndorff went to try to talk to him. Of course, big tough Leon White, shut up, you one-armed man. What the hell are you going to do about it? Oh, God, did he find out. He beat him so lopsided, they said he looked like the Elephant Man. And I could just remember a big old fat tub of goo, you know, getting beat up like that. I could just imagine, because Paul Orndorff's the worst guy you want to tell that to. He's tough as nails. And another guy that's scared to death, he ran from, God rest his soul, is Gary Albright. Gary Albright and me became real close. This guy was All-American Nebraska. He's one of the best pan-crazed fighters in Japan. They paid him a lot of money. And he hated Leon White. And every time he was in Japan, same time I was, I would invite Gary over to where I was at wrestling, Karakin Hall in Tokyo, and Leon White would hide. He would hide. Yeah. And another guy he shouldn't have pissed off that really got him was Stan Hansen. He found out when he hurt stiff Stan Hansen punched him through his eye bulged out.
It was in
came
Japan,
out of,
right?
In Japan, yep. Well, Stan Hansen was going to kill him.
Now, did Vader stiffed him during the match?
Yep.
Or did he pull anything backstage that, you know?
Backstage, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he did that. I know that what I heard is another West Texas boy beat up on Leon because everybody, he never got to me. I'd tease him, get over on him, and then one time we had a tour. It was Russia versus Japan versus USA. On the USA team was me, Dickie Murdoch, Bob Orton Jr., Brad Rangans, 1980 world champion, right? And of course, Japan had their top guys. And Russia had Viktor Hashimikov, 6-time world champion, Olympic champion, Viktor Sarasov, 2-time world champion. I mean, they had the legitimate tough guys. And of course, they weren't going to wrestle. They were going to wrestle. So we knew hey, dude, we ain't gonna mess with you guys. So me and Dickie got a plan to bring him over to the room, talk to him, get some beers, talk American, teach him a little American stuff. So teach him a little, and they liked it. They liked it. So they learned how to get headlocked. So the first time we went out and challenged, of course, Rangans was our captain. And all the teammates would sit in chairs and then switch off. He'd tag, and then another guy comes in and everything. And of course, you build it up with the world champion Hashimikov, the Olympic champion against Rangans. And you have great matches in between there, right? So these guys are supposed to be the shooters. First match we had against them, they went out and grabbed the headlock. And the Japanese office went crazy. No! They wanted them to throw us all over the ring, right? And we're teaching them how to grab a headlock. So we had the match here. The format was perfect. Whatever the Japanese office decided to do was put Leon White on our team, right? And that Russian team was led by 2 awesome dudes, Hashimikov Sengiop, brother, and Sarasov. But they had a young guy, and a young, about 19, 20-year-old guy, and he was one of their up-and-coming wrestlers, amateur wrestlers. We got in the ring, and Leon started the match, and the guy he's Russian. don't speak English. He doesn't know nothing. Doesn't know American stuff. All he knows is how to shoot. Leon don't know how to protect himself if he gets shot. He doesn't know nothing about it. So the little young Russian guy's trying to shoot on him, and Leon's backing him off, and then he's getting mad and picking his chin up and sucker punching him in the face. Well, the big guy saw that, and he went crazy and charged the ring. And Leon backed up to the rope, and he's looking down at Murdoch, me, and Orton and Rangans. He goes, somebody get in there, get him out. And Dickie looked up, he goes, you started it, you finish it. He didn't want no part of Sarazov. Oh, no. Oh, man. And when we got out of there, went back, them Russians came running down the hallway, and one of them had, the young kid had scissors in his hand. He was something in Russian, but I know they weren't going to play, and all the Japanese came out, and they were going to kill him. They were going to get him. And see, he ruined it, because then the Russians didn't trust us anymore. You know, they didn't trust. Here we were having a good time with them, teaching them how to drink. They would bring us Russian bread and sausage. We would trade in for yakitori and stuff like that. What we had, right? So after that incident, then we had to go out there and literally defend ourselves until we built the trust again.
Leon ruined the entire thing.
The whole thing. We told the office. And then my luck, when I went off on the office, I got sent to Russia for 5 weeks to go work out with them. They killed me too.
Yeah. Now, you brought up that story that happened backstage. Tell us about some of the wilder things you've seen backstage over your entire career. What are the things that pop out in your mind as just some of the craziest things you can think of?
Maybe, you know what the craziest thing is? Because later on, Dusty got so serious about the talent and everything, separating, trying to divide people, you know. But back when I was young, and guys, you know, putting snakes in your bags, you know, super gluing my boots to the ground, stuff. You know, they were fun times. Taking a crap in somebody's bag, zipping it up, putting on stuff. So, you know, after a while, the business I got bored of the business because it stopped being fun. The reason I didn't like football, I love football, played it all my life, college All-American, went to the NFL. But when I came to the NFL, it stopped being fun because it was a job. I wasn't guaranteed a spot, I was a free agent. So every year I had to make that team. It's not fun no more. And then when you gotta act different than when you first started the business and do all these kooky things, have all this fun, where Don Morocco used to put Quaaludes in my mouth and I'd almost pass out in the middle of the ring. Crean Curtis hit me with a cookie, I hit an acid in my tongue, pretty soon the ring was psychedelic. I mean, those things were fun. I mean, of course, you know, you're freaking out, you know, and stuff like that. But those are great moments in time. I enjoyed the hell out of them. Of course, I wouldn't do it on my own, not like that. I mean, but those were fun. You enjoyed it. They got over on you, and they loved it. It's not like you didn't know it was coming. You've been forewarned. Watch out, King Curtis, he got the cookie. What's the cookie? Oh, you don't know the cookie? You know, you're already forewarned them when you say, open your mouth, kid. You just do it, man. You know, now they don't have that kind of fun. I mean, it's just hiding my boots, hiding a bag up on top of the air conditioning vent, you know? They don't do that kind of goofy stuff. They take the fun out of it.
How's wrestling on acid? I know I heard Doc Ellis pitched a no-hitter on acid. What's it like being there? Somebody dumps you?
It's like everything's in slow motion. Everything's in slow motion. I mean, it's worse. Like when Don put that Quaalude in my mouth, and after 20 minutes, back in the old days, if you had a one-fall 30-minute match, you had to go 25 minutes. You didn't go 10 minutes. Broadways were 15, 20 minutes. And if you had a world title, I defended the Florida heavyweight title, one fall 60 minutes, I had to go over 50 minutes. That was the rule. That was the rule. That's what a champion had to do. Be out there battling for his title. You know, and imagine doing that on acid for 50 minutes, everything's slow motion. I mean, come on. I mean, like I said, they take that fun out of it. I mean, everybody's too busy looking in the mirror, putting grease on their bodies, playing around, you know, make sure pretty. Yeah, they put that oil all over it. Dude, I never, you know, some of these shows I get invited to, these independent shows, I'm like, oh my God, what the heck? What happened to wrestling? Funny one is, me and Terry wrestled against each other about 7 years ago in Maryland. I had a show up in Hagerstown, Maryland. And I come into the dressing room and I don't know anybody. And there's like 50 wrestlers there. And the most funniest part is everyone's got a belt. And I'm going like, what? Am I in the wrong spot? I don't see no Terry. There's no Terry, and I knew that I was there to wrestle Terry. And I can't find Terry, but there's everybody there. They all got somebody else's gimmick from WWE. They all copy everybody. Everybody wants to be them. They don't want to be themselves. They want to copy somebody. So I finally get through the end of the dressing room. I'm just freaking out. Finally hear his voice, hey, kid, over here, kid. I said, Terry, damn, what? Glad to see you. I don't know anybody here. He says, neither do I, kid. Then out of the blue, I go, you got your belt? The one on my pants, kid. I mean, it's unreal, man. You know, when I cut a promo, the greatest thing that Dickie Murdoch taught me, he says, eventually you're going to have to talk. Right now, everybody, you know, you're just getting introduced to business. He says, so prepare yourself. You find you a mirror, make yourself comfortable, sit down and talk to that mirror. Talk at yourself. And that's what I teach my kids. Just talk to yourself till you convince yourself that you're doing something good. You can convince yourself that's a pretty good promo. So that's what I would do. I prepare, I get in front of a mirror. Same thing with my tie-ups, like shadow boxing, like a boxer shadow boxing. My tie-ups are good and tight, straight up, keep your eyes straight, always looking in the mirror, because you can see that other face right there. And I would talk into that mirror and cut promos, just off-the-cuff promos. You know, Dusty Rhodes, American Dream. I always used to do Dusty. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, to the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sad, baby. You know, I started doing that kind of, and then I took a piece of everybody and became myself. Of course it is. In wrestling, you got to be a sponge and soak up the knowledge from everybody and take a piece and make it yourself. There's only one Dusty Rhodes. There's only one Ric Flair, Harley Race, Manny Fernandez, Terry Funk. You know, and there's only one Hardy's, but everybody wants to be one. Mm-hmm. They want to wear the Hardy's, they want to look like Hardy's, want to act like, dude, that's not what the business, it's not copycat business. It's like anything else, you got to be yourself, you know.
Now, why did you, why did you leave the NWA in, was it around 87 or so?
89, actually.
89?
89, actually. I get fed up with, you know, after Rude did the walk, and I got fed up with, you know, I knew that I was in the doghouse so deep, and I knew the crap was going to come, the Ivan Koloff tag team, then they put me with Barbarian, and you know, I wasn't comfortable in the situation, you know, with these people. And then, you know, the worst thing that I knew I had to leave was Jimmy Garvin and I grew up together. We grew up together from the days in Tampa. We were rookies together, me, Steve. The great rookie team was me, Steve Kerr, and Jimmy Garvin, and my grandpa. That's a great rookie team. We grew up in Florida together, and we had fun up and down the road, chasing alligators together, almost getting bit by an alligator, me and Jimmy, because he came around behind us. We chased him in a bush, and he came out the other way, you know, that kind of stuff. And I knew that. I had a match with him in Greensboro, him and Precious. And Dusty wanted to go, oh, you guys go 20-minute Broadway. I said, dude, I ain't doing that. Oh, come on. Oh, dude, I ain't doing it. You're going over. I don't care what Dusty says. So, you know, I went out there, and Jimmy didn't want to really do it, so I tagged him. Out he went. I put him on top of me, 1, 2, 3. I knew it was time. I knew it was getting to me. And then by then, Dusty was going downhill so bad because Dusty wanted the boo, Dusty wanted this. Dusty beat Superman to the booth. He came out as Superman. He stayed as Clark Kent. The territory started dying. Once Rude left, they started losing a lot of people, especially when he showed up at WWE. And one time I was joking because I didn't tell him I had already signed. My first tour was coming up in Japan. I was just going to leave. So I did a show in Greensboro Coliseum, and we used to pack it. We used to pack it. And that day, when I went open the curtain, I was telling Hector Guerrero, I said, dang, a lot of people missing here, and it was empty, just about empty. And Jimmy Crockett was real disappointed. I remember he opened the curtain, kept looking out, and I came up on him. I go, hey, Jimmy, a lot of people came dressed up as empty seats today, huh? He was mad. He was bad.
This is the time when, I don't mean to cut you off, this is the time when Arn and Tully had left, right? And
yep.
Barb and was the Warlord too?
Warlord.
Powers of Pain?
Powers of Pain.
Yeah, they had gone over, and Rick Rude too. I mean, so how did you feel at this time? Now, Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes were pretty much in the main event picture for a while. Right. What were your feelings about Ric Flair as champion?
Worst champion I've ever seen. You know, here's the thing. It's bad enough people know it's entertainment now, and they know it's a work. And then you keep giving the belt to this clown, you know, that tries to think that he's somebody, number one. You know, but a clown. Here's a guy that's so wrapped up into himself that he doesn't care what he does to the business. He stopped drawing. That's why WCW started going downhill. Mid-Atlantic was disappeared because him and Dusty stopped drawing. Number one, when Rude left, people don't realize that started a big exodus going to WWF. You know, guys are going. Of course, I wanted to go to Japan. I wanted to get out of the United States. I was fed up with the wrestling in the United States. I want to go have fun, be as stiff as I want, shoot on people, have fun with it. Japanese don't care. If I beat you up, stiff cemento. Hey, you cemento? Yeah, I am. You know, but you know these guys, till this day, this clown's still living and is going. He doesn't. You know, when you read a book. When my book comes out in January, okay, you're going to enjoy the book because the book's not about Manny Fernandez. It's written by Manny Fernandez, but it's not about me. It's about the greatness about this profession. It's about the people that laid their backs on the thing to make me. It's about the people that guided me in this business. It's about Eddie Grahams. It's about the Terry Funks, the Dickie Murdochs of the world. Those real people that believe that this business makes you. You don't make it. And these idiots think they made the business. J.J. Dillon's book, it sounds like he saved pro wrestling. If it wasn't for pro wrestling, J.J. Dillon, oh my God, it'd be gone. It'd be gone. Ric Flair's all about him and his two tower power, you know, whatever he's all about. Except get beat up by a 20-year-old kid. Here's a guy that's been in the business 40 years of his life. He should have learned to fight instead of smacking ass all the time. You know, you get beat up by a 20-year-old kid, that's pretty shameful. You can't cheat. Judge, you've been cheating for 30 years in the business, and you can't cheat on a 20-year-old? That's pretty lame. You know, these people think that this business, they make this business, they're wrong. And they live that. That's the sad part about it. Tully, that's the sad part about it. If it wasn't for it, we'd be nobody. If you took wrestling off the marquee, what were you gonna call it? Gymnastics? It ain't gonna draw. And it'll never draw. That's why you look Bob Orton, Randy Orton. He's wrestling old school. Headlocks, take him down, wear him out, boom. It's so, wrestling goes in a cycle. It's wrestling. And I got taught this in 1979, actually 78 when I was still playing ball. I had a talk with Terry Funk, he told the kid, this business goes in cycles, but it'll always come back to wrestling. It'll always come in, that's what it's doing. That's what it's doing. So I get sick of these people. The reason I wrote my book is reading these books. It's all about them. That's why pro wrestling's not wrong. Wrong. It's not about them. It's about the people that paid to make you. The people that bought that ticket, that paid to believe in you, that believed in you, and you come back and say, oh, that man's going to kick somebody's butt. And they keep spending their money, believing, oh, you did him wrong, he's going to come back now. That's who made this business. Not these idiots running around with Ric Flairs and Dusty Rhodes, American Dream. No. This business made them and the people that bought tickets.
You're a self-professed tough guy, obviously. If you were 20 years younger, would you consider a career in the mixed martial arts? Oh God, you know, one of the guys that I enjoyed training when I had South Atlantic was Ken Shamrock. Oh, if I was 10 years younger, if I'd be 45 to get into it. If I was 45 right now, I'd get into it. If I didn't have these titanium knees, I'd be in it right now. I mean, you know, you can have divisions. I can convince, hey, do an old people division. We do it in freestyle wrestling. We have older guys leagues, guys that love wrestling so much all their life, they keep wrestling. And we do it in freestyle. We have cadets, we have seniors. Pretty sure that. If I didn't have titanium knees, couldn't get around with this hip, I'd be in there right now. I enjoy shooting. The greatest guy, like I said, Gary Albach passed away. His heart blew up when he gave a guy a German. In the middle of doing something he loved, his heart blew up. But he loved what he was doing. If that happened to me, I'd be in heaven. That's what I believe in. That's what I am. I'm a wrestler. I've been learning to be tough when I was 8 years old. When my mom said, this guy beat you up, you better go out there and do it again. Beat you up again, go out there and do it again. You get kicked, go out there and do it again until I accomplish what I had to do. You know, I don't run for nobody. There's no run in me. You know, I don't pretend like, oh, I need a limousine, drive this. No, dude, that don't make you. That don't make you a man. That don't make you anything. It don't make you anything. You got to prove to yourself and your way of life that you are a man. And what you stand for and believe in, you do. And I believe in this business. Why? Because the greatest thing for me is one time Dickie Murdoch said, you better give back this business what it gave you.
And what do you think I do by feeding them talent? I am there in the way of my talents. And that's what everybody knows. My talent's up there making money. That's what I'm proud of. Tell anybody else who trains guys, where your guys end up at. Do they go to the show? No. My guys, I've been putting talent up there forever, since Terry Taylor days. I trained Terry Taylor. And he'll admit, the TNA went right out and said, I'd do anything for that man. You know, that's the pride I get out of this business, because I know what I'm trying to pay it back for what it made me. I'm not trying to steal from it, abuse it, like these bimbos. Oh, I need so much money, I need advance. They're stupid people, they're not professional. They got a problem with that? I ain't hard to find. And I can't run.
We definitely want to talk. We'll talk a little more about that, but I also want to go back to. Let's go back to about 1988. You said you were good friends with Bruiser Brody. Where were you? Or first of all, before that, let's talk about some memories of Bruiser.
Oh God, man! When I first met Bruiser Brody, I was in San Antonio, Texas, and I've heard about him because, you know, West Texas guys always like a little family. And they always, you know, hey, West Texas guy, hey, there's a new West Texas guy in the business. So right away it comes down to, oh, there's Bruiser Brody's West Texas guy. So when he came to San Antonio, he just got back from Japan. And for whatever reason, he walked into the gym I was working out at. And he had his hat on, his hair in a ponytail like I did up underneath. And he's just walking around there, and I kept saying, God, is that Bruiser Brody? Is that Frank? I didn't know, so I wasn't going to embarrass myself or embarrass him. So finally I'm benching, he comes over and says, hey kid. I said, so you're the new product out of West Texas? I said, yes sir. I'm pretty proud for that. We got to talking to each other, hit it off right off the back. He became my workout partner. Then eventually came in and worked for Joe Blanchard, and we tagged team against Bobby Duncan Sr. When he was the mummy. He was the mummy. We had fun with that because we filled him up with baby powder and stuff. And every time we'd whack him, all the powder would go blah, blah. I mean, we had great times like that. Those are great times, like, you know, and that's it. I mean, we became close. We traveled up and down the road together, me and him, and you know. And then he said, was it 80? He says, I want you. I tried Japan the first time in 1980, and Bruiser got me the shot there. He got me the shot there, and I went over there and kind of got over, but I was like this young guy I was telling you about. I really didn't know, so it took Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen to tell me, hey kid, if you don't tear these guys up, we're going to tear you up. So then I did, oh, okay, now I'm going to knock this guy out. So they taught me the ropes. But then I got signed with Mid-Atlantic. You know, Dusty brought me in 81. So I didn't think about Japan till later. Brody and me became so close that he got me shots in Puerto Rico and stuff like that. He was a great guy. Then, of course, he came into the Kansas City territory when I was there for Harley. And Bob Geigo had made a mistake, and the greatest thing I heard is Bob Geigo called Brody's wife because he couldn't find Bruiser. Bruiser was already there, but he called Frank's wife to say, hey, he no-showed me. His wife lost it. What's he doing? What are you talking about? My husband no-showing. So she was upset. The next thing I know, I hear the door go, wow! And I see this big man just stomping down the deal, and Bob Geigo's sitting in the shitter reading the paper, and I heard, wham! And he kicked the door wide open, boom, and knocked him over. And he said, you no good son of a bitch. You ever call my wife again? And he, I mean, he was white already because he's an older man, but man, he was scared to damn death. Then I knew Bruiser Brody didn't take crap from nobody. Didn't take crap from nobody, brother.
He was a legit tough guy.
Oh!
Yeah.
Now that's why they did him the way they did him. They surprised him and did that. And of course, I got a little payback for that because he's my brother.
Well, let's talk about that. Where were you when you heard the news?
I was in Japan. I flew to Japan, and of course Hattori came back, and the way the Japanese do things, and everybody knew because I was on tours with Brody, and how he took care of me. He'd take me to sponsors, and they'd feed me. They'd pay for everything. Brody set it up in Japan for me that I didn't have to spend anything. That's how good he was to me. Him and Stan Hansen. And I was there, and Hattori comes up to me. He goes, Manny-san, Brody gone. I said, yeah, I know. He left right before I got here. No, Manny-san, Brody gone. So you're not understanding the lingo. So what are you trying to tell me, dude? What do you mean he's gone? I know he's gone. He left a week before I got here. I know he went back home. Well, my tour originally was Tokyo, Atlanta, Tokyo, Puerto Rico, back Atlanta. Okay. So when I found out what he was trying to tell me, a bad news outlet came up and goes, no, Manny, something happened in Puerto Rico and Brody got killed. I said, what? I said, I know you're lying. He said, no, man, it's not. The news is they murdered him in the dressing room. And it just like stunned the hell out of me. So right away with this going, they knew how close I was to Brody. The Japanese company told me, you're not going to Puerto Rico, we're sending you to Atlanta. I said, no, you're not. Oh yeah, we changed your ticket already. You know, I was pretty upset about them just changing my ticket, you know, taking that part out, getting me another ticket to go back home. And I was pretty upset with that, so that went on, you know. It freaked me out. And I wanted to know what happened. I wanted to know what was there. And I kept digging and finally found out that they owed him 40 grand. They didn't want to pay him. He wanted his money. And he did the same thing. Stormed in there to demand his money. So they told me, hey, just come to the show tonight and we'll pay you, we'll pay you at the show. So Brody got there and Tony Atlas was sitting over there and he saw it. I guess he watched those guys hide behind the door or something. And that Jose had the towel wrapped around something on his arm.
Are you talking about the Invader?
Yeah, the Invader. He had something around his arm. And when Brody came through, he took the towel off and cut him across the stomach. His guts came out. And when he fell down to his knees, he grabbed him by the hair and stuck him in the heart. And then chopped his hair off. And Tony Atlas never moved.
Didn't flinch?
Didn't flinch. So I was highly upset about that. But that's what happened. It bugged me. And finally, Carlos Colon had called me and said, how come you didn't come back to Puerto Rico? And, I didn't want to say nothing, but I got my payback. I never went back. I didn't care, If I could have killed him, I would have killed him, That's the truth, You don't hurt a brother of mine, like I said. In the teams, you go in together and come out together. You don't leave nobody, so it affects me now. I love the man. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had some of these shots in Japan and Puerto Rico and other places. Plus he was a brother from West Texas. And we all took it hard. So, that one touches me. So that's like the day Terry Funk told me that they found Dickie dead. Oh, it was just like, that's right. The worst fear of my life right now is not having Terry. I've been that close to him for 30-something years now. And for something to happen to him, that's like the biggest fear of my life. Because that's like my escape. When I want to go and this thing gets to me with what's going on and stuff, and people robbing people acting like professional wrestlers that aren't, wannabe guys, taking advantage of people. I go and talk to Terry and we sit down, drink a few beers, get drunk, tell stories. Tell the old war stories, tell about the business, how it was when his dad had it, how they came through the business, how they went around like gypsies from territory to territory as a family. Some guys would leave at the same time and follow the other guys, taking care of one another, being brothers with one another, making sure that brothers of the road always helped each other. Something happened, our family broke down, and we're there for them. That stuff doesn't exist anymore. That's like people tell me all the time, man, how was it with territories? It was beautiful. Because when you wanted a boost of territory and you're hot here, and they call up Eddie Graham and says, man, we really need somebody hot that's on the TV, everybody watches, to come to the territory. Can you send them to our territory to jump the territory, get started? And that's what it was done. That's what they are. All 9 heads of the NWA, President Eddie Graham, they helped each other. They didn't want no territory to die. They tried to help build it up. Well, the worst thing that ever happened to this business is when Eddie Graham committed suicide. He was like a godfather. He was like a Don. He kept everybody tight. He kept it all together. And when that happened, slowly you started seeing territories fall by the wayside. And it was sad.
You talk about Eddie Graham committing suicide. Recently, Billy Jack Haynes had an interview.
Don't scare me like that.
No, I don't want to scare you. That's not. No. But he recently had an interview and he said that Dusty Rhodes, he claims, in his words, that Dusty Rhodes is responsible somewhat for Eddie Graham's death. Now, he didn't do anything to him, but the suicide was caused.
Well, the territory. Remember, people don't understand, Florida was the hottest territory in the country for the longest time. Everybody, there was a way. For me to get into Florida, it took 2 of the legendary, most awesome guys in pro wrestling, Blackjack, Terry Funk, 3. Blackjack, Terry Funk, and Dickie Murdoch to send me there. There was a waiting list to go to Florida. And there was guys in the business 10, 12, 15 years way better than me. But why I got there, I don't know. They believed in me. I mean, there was people were dying to get into Florida, and it was hot, brother. I was a rookie, and as a rookie, 8 months in the business, I got put on a salary. They said, kid, you're still a rookie. We're pushing you, yes, and you're coming along great, but we're going to keep you on your salary. And I said, okay, you know, hey, good, you know, thank you. You know, I went from making $25 a show as a rookie starting out paying my dues to all of a sudden a guy tell me you're only making $1,800 a week. Oh, gee, don't give me that kind of money. What the heck? $37,000 a year playing NFL. All of a sudden I'm making $1,800 a week? Excuse me. Okay, sir. Whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? You know, it was that territory was that hot. And the talent that came through that, the heels they gave me. Oh, God, they fed me heels out of this world. I had the best heels in the world to come in there and get me over. I was lucky. These kids don't get that no more. These guys don't know how to get somebody over. They're too into themselves. You know, they don't want to get beat. I'm John Cena. I'm Triple H, which is the biggest sissy in the world. He took Triple H became the new Ric Flair. It's Triple H's era now.
Which is his idol, I guess.
Yeah, it's his idol, coincidentally, because they both learned how to lick ass, I guess. I don't know. But
did you know Triple H before he...
I knew when he came to WCW, and then he didn't succeed there, so he ended up there. And to succeed there, I guess he married the daughter to make sure he's part of the family.
Yeah.
So he's up there. Shawn Michaels I always liked. I liked him when he was Midnight Rocker with Jannetty. I had great matches with him, had fun with him in clubs, enjoyed the heck. He used to love watching me beat up people. In fact, sometimes he'd do it on purpose. Him and Jannetty, you know, so I'd smack somebody around. But Shawn Michaels is great. He doesn't need Triple H. He gets over on his own. Shawn Michaels can get over on. Shawn Michaels is Magnum TA. If he was bigger, then, you know, but he's like a Magnum TA type. You know, Triple H is hanging around just like Dusty Rhodes used to do with me and Magnum TA. Who do you team with? The Raging Bull. Who do you team with? Magnum TA. Yeah. It started in Florida when he realized how hot I got. All of a sudden we were tag team partners, you know. But then I was too dumb to recognize it. As you get older and smarter in the business, finally, after 3 years, you're able to say, you know, speak up for yourself, you know. But, you know, just, I don't know. And when you know tough guys, you've been around them, you can tell when a guy's tough and when he's not, you know, and when he's not. And I knew this guy was nothing. So when we got to the match and everything, he was so worried about my style, paranoid that I was going to chop the heck out of him. He's all talking about it. And, of course, we had the match in Memphis where he lived, and we had our first match against each other. Everything I told him I wasn't going to do, I just beat the hell out of him. I was so frustrated by then. These guys weren't paying like they promised they were going to pay. They were so frustrated with him that I just took it out on him. And then I was going to go after. We did a show in, where was it? Louisville Gardens. And about that time I hadn't got my money. So I had it. So I went in there and saw him and Jerry Jarrett in the room and shut the door behind me, and I said, nobody's leaving until I get my money. Of course, Jerry Jarrett's mother called the cops, and Ricky Moore and Robert Gibson, Rocket Midnight, Shawn Michaels right there, Marty Jannetty were all there, and Jimmy Jack Funk and Hector. And it's the way I guess he told the police what was going on. They sent like a 6-man riot squad down there. And finally, when I got what I wanted, opened the door and I was leaving. I didn't want to be there no more. I was ready leaving the territory anyway. Had a deal in Japan again. And all these cops come down the damn stairs, boy, and they're coming down. They have all this gear on. And the funniest thing about them, when they get to the bottom, Ricky Morton goes, damn, all you guys were just one guy? I told him, hey, dude, do what you got to do. I'm leaving. I left. Didn't bother me.
Did you get your money?
I got my money. And then, I wasn't the end of it. Of course, by then, I was with AWA. Wahoo took over the book. And, of course, Vern Gagne didn't want me there. He's scared to death. Oh, how he's going to hurt my kid. Heck yeah, I am. I ain't going to deny it. I didn't like him.
You like Greg Gagne?
No, Greg, please. Old drop kick, toothpick himself. Toothpick legs and stuff.
Was that one of the worst cases of nepotism in the business?
Oh, God, wasn't it? Jeez. But, you know, I was going back and forth to Japan. And then Greg Gagne was giving, Wahoo was doing great when he had by himself before Greg came back. He was doing good. I was going up there. We had good shows, good matches. I was still here. Wahoo. Of course, a lot of Indians up there, you know, South Dakota and everything. So I was getting over, and of course, I come in and same old matches like the Carolinas, Mid-Atlantic, WCW, just beating the hell out of each other. And I guess Greg came back in, started messing with the booking. Ray Stevens was there with Wahoo, and there's another great man. And there's another genuine tough guy. That guy was mean as two pit bulls. Ray Stevens was tough as nails, brother. So, you know, they had the book, they're sharing, they were doing good with me, Mike Enos, Wayne Bloom, the Patriot, Del Wilkes, a couple other people in there. And Greg came back, started trying to take over, you know, basically telling them they're nobodies. So I just got back in from Japan, and in Japan, you pick up that style, speed style, fast style, and you got that adrenaline to go 100 miles an hour. As compared to the United States, you slow down, get a rest hold, and all that stuff, right? So they had me booked against Greg Gagne that night, and they did it for a reason. They knew I was coming in from Japan, and I'd be 100 miles an hour. So I went out there and wrestled him, and I stretched him. He must have turned every color white you could imagine. And every time I'd lock up into some cross-face and three-quarter ounce, and I'd look back, and Ray and Wahoo were just dying. They were just laughing their tails off. They were just laughing their tails. They had great guns. He was another one of those. His daddy was the promoter. He became a wrestler. You know, Jeff Jarrett, his daddy was the promoter. You're the superstar. It's obvious, people. He beats King. You know, these guys, because their daddy runs a business like Lawler runs a business, they can beat King Kong when they can't beat a chimpanzee.
What do you think of Jeff Jarrett?
You know, it's sad. The kid was, I had fun with him, but it's sad that, you know, his dad pushed to a point where he thinks he's, you know, another Dusty Rhodes. I don't think much of him. He's just another daddy's boy with money. You know, that's about it. He ain't much. You know, if you take a Jeff Jarrett and stick him in a bar, Alexandria, Louisiana, or down in New Orleans, or in El Paso, Texas, or something, you think he's gonna come out of that bar? No. Hell no. You take a Dickie Murdoch or a Steve Williams, you know, put them in the bar, they're coming out. Hercules Hernandez, my good friend that passed away, put him in a bar, he's coming out. They're coming out. These clowns, Jerry Lawler types, they're not coming out. They're gonna be laid out on the floor. You know, that led up to, like I was trying to get to, besides Gagne getting stretched, Lawler came in there. We did the event, the big clash.
Super Clash?
Super Clash.
Is this when you worked Wahoo in
Wahoo.
that strap match?
Yeah. And we had Kerry Von Erich and Mr. World Champion there, Lawler, come in and do this was switch straps. But of course, neither one wants to get beat.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder why. Your daddy owns the territory, you're the champion. You know, Lawler owns the territory, he's the world champion. So these guys here, me and Wahoo went out and had one of the most bloodiest, gruesome strap matches. Couldn't even put it on tape.
ESPN wouldn't show it.
No, because he was so mad at them. And then Ray Stevens is over here, and I hear the argument, and I was in the back, and said, God dang it, hell with him, I'll do him right now in the dressing room. And I jumped over, and Ray Stevens grabbed me by my belt, my back of my jeans, and pulled me back. I said, they don't want to do it, I'll make them do a job right here and now. You ain't ruining the show. And then they call me, no, you want to. So Wahoo's already irritated by this. You know, it's ain't a strap match. I know I'm going to be peeled like a tomato because he doesn't hold back, and I don't let him. You know, you and do one, you better go. And brother, this time with that anger from what's going on in the dressing room, and these clowns trying to figure out how they're going to beat each other or not beat each other, we go out there and have one of the most horrific strap matches. I mean, it was brutal. I came out with welts at least a quarter inch off my back. Because one time he was out of mid, I was stupid enough because I should have known he was mad. I did something, came off the spot, and he whacked me in the back so damn hard, it felt like a damn branding iron just touched me. And I turned around like an idiot and said, can't you hit me any harder? What a mistake. Damn shit that came out of my mouth. Holy, he lit into me, and I was like, hey, dude, it's not me that's doing this. You know, we had this great blood gushing. I mean, it was horrible, terrific, horrific match. And then these clowns, and we had the people going, go out there and stop their match for one little trickle of blood.
Didn't make any, the most inconsistent, you know.
Yeah, I wanted to kill them. Of course, they were gone. Yeah, oh, man, you know. Eventually, Kerry paid karma. You got paid back for what you did. You know, the Lawler's just, you know, mouthpiece for Vince. I don't know what else he mouthpieces, but you know, he's not a, you know, it makes me laugh. The King Lawler. King of what? King of Memphis? No, that's Elvis. King of what? That guy couldn't fight. It was like Andre the Giant or Luthez told Hulk Hogan, "You couldn't beat my grandma." That's what he told him. You couldn't beat my grandma.
Did you ever cross paths with Hogan in Japan?
No. I crossed paths with, and I like Bruiser Brody's Beefcake, whatever his name is. I know he's Hulk's buddy, but he's the only guy I know in Japan. You know, they put up with you, even though like that Crusher Krunsky, he finally came along and everything. But he's the only guy I know that was given his passport and got sent back home. He was that lousy. I was going like, dude, you got sent back home. That's bad. That's bad. You couldn't even survive Japan?
They figured they'd cut their losses.
Yeah, he was that bad. Yeah.
Now, did you work with Hulk in the States at all?
With Terry Bollea one time in the Checkerdome in St. Louis when he came in out of AWA. Harley was and Sam Munchkin, something like that. They ran the Kill Auditorium and we did the big show at the Checkerdome. And I had to wrestle him, and Harley says, "You go out there and see what you can do with that boy." I just beat him up, stretched him a little bit, you know. Terrible, eh? Of course, then he made the movie and came out.
Could you ever believe could you ever foreshadow that, you know, the guy that you were in the ring with, the guy that you pretty much didn't even probably cross your mind, all of a sudden he's Hulk Hogan, he's the biggest star in wrestling all of a sudden?
Yeah, all of a sudden, hey, what I believe is like Andre the Giant couldn't stand the guy. Andre the Giant had pride in being a wrestler. He didn't see himself as a gimmick, even though he said, you know, seventh wonder of the world, whatever. But he enjoyed wrestling. I watched matches between him and Mulligan, singles. They were awesome. They were awesome matches. Both those big men wrestling. Andre can work. He couldn't stand Hogan. You know, he didn't want to do that thing in WrestleMania. They had to pay him extra.
What thing are you talking about?
That slam.
At WrestleMania 3?
Yep. He didn't want to do it. He told French he didn't want to do it. He didn't like him.
The slam or getting pinned?
I don't know if it was one of those that he didn't want to get. I don't know if he slammed him and pinned him or he didn't really want to do whatever was done. WrestleMania, like I said, I don't keep up with wrestling. But I knew for a fact from Frenchy, but they paid him an extra million to do it. He didn't want to do it. I don't blame him. So, like, you know, the great, like, you guys know how tough Luthez was. He was an old school shooter way back in the day. He lived here. And that man I ran past with earlier in my career, and he loved me because Johnny Valentine, all crippled, came to watch me in Houston. I went from Florida to Houston to do a show for Paul Botch, wrestled Mil Moscadas. It was awesome. That man was great. Now there's another guy. He's a beautiful person guy, Mil Moscadas. But to me, Johnny Valentine and Luthez at the same time, that was incredible. And we were in there, and Luthez was showing me some stuff, and I know that man was, at his age, could tear me apart. And that's when Luthez can look you in the eye and say, "You can't even beat my grandma," that means you're nothing. You're nothing. You know, and then, of course, me being a veteran, seeing what this punk kid did to that veteran, I ain't nothing too happy with that man. If I was that man's son, Hulk wouldn't be on this earth. And that's a guarantee. If that was my son who served this country, now he's paralyzed, you wouldn't be on this earth. Period.
What do you know about that story, about his son getting in the wreck?
I crippled that kid racing. That's what they were racing or something. He lost control, ended up wrecking and crippled that veteran. Yeah, that's what I heard. And then they're trying to play this little game of, you know, "Oh, I can't stand jail, please let me out." Tough, dude. Be a man. That just shows you where he comes from. Where's your genes at? If your dad's so tough, you should be able to handle jail. You know? Where's your genes come from? Apparently your gene pool ain't very tough. You know? You don't do that. I mean, just like I said, if that was my son, they wouldn't be here. They wouldn't be here at all. I don't care what happened to me. I'll make sure you're gonna suffer like he suffers.
Eye for an eye, you know?
That's it. That's what I believe in. You know, that's my family, that's my brother. You're going to do the same thing.
Absolutely. I want to go back one time, speaking of eye for an eye mentality. I just want to go back to Puerto Rico because we didn't cover too much of that. One of your more famous matches from there, and probably one of the biggest of your career, was the match you had with Invader 3.
Right.
Can you tell us about that match a little bit?
just I had that mindset already going in there. I already, like I said, to this day, as you can tell, it affects me when we're talking about Frank. It affects me big time. 'Cause I love that man dearly. Just like I love Terry and all Dickie. But the way it was done just ate me up. So I knew I had to do something. So my mindset was, one of these guys are gonna pay for it, one way or another. They're gonna pay for it. So I already knew, and then, like I said, I just got back from Japan. Everybody knew I came back from Japan because I always grew out a beard in Japan. And then I'd shave it off when I came home. But I got back and I said, this has got to be done. I planned it out. My wife was a flight attendant for U.S. Air, had my ride, did my thing, got the hell out of it. Sad thing is, now he's gone, but he survived the thing. He survived the attack. So.
Now, for the people watching at home that don't know about the incident entirely,
I got up on the top turnbuckle, came off with my knee on the sternum 3 times, broke a sternum, chest cavity, and that's where all the blood came from the inside. And that's what happened.
Now, was that a spontaneous thing? Did you have you said you had a plan going into it. I mean, were you afraid of like a full-scale riot breaking out down there?
I think that, first of all, I think they were more shocked. Yeah, brother, I started full-scale riot against Carlos Colon. Ended up, this stitches right here, almost lost me my lip. They threw a daggone rock with barbed wire and wire around it, hit me right here, and it jerked almost my lip off. Tore my lip off. And then I had one of them idiots go stand over a bridge, overpass, and as I came in my little rental Toyota, they threw a cinder block through the window. And then people hated me in Puerto Rico. So I knew I had to get in there and get out as fast as I can. I went onto the airport in my non-rev pass, took my gear, and I walked onto the airplane with my wrestling gear. You imagine the look? Incredible. Yeah, but I knew something had to be done. For me, just for a brother. For a brother. That's simple as it can be put. For a brother. If somebody did that, like we were talking about Hawk's son, payback's a brother's way. Like brothers in talking country, brothers talking Iraq, brothers talking, and payback. You take one of ours, we're going to take 10 of yours. Payback. We got to get payback.
I might just throw out some names here and just want to see your reaction if they're legitimately tough or not. I've always heard that Tracy Smothers was a tough guy. Do you agree with that? Get closer with that.
Where did you get this idea?
I've heard from so many different wrestlers that Tracy's one of the toughest guys. Wrestled bears and this and that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wrestled bears? We quit wrestling bears in the 60s. Tracy Smothers. Let me think of Tracy Smothers. Now, Tracy Smothers ended up on a bunch of tours, him and Steve Armstrong with me in Japan. I took very good care of them, Southern boys. Took them around, took them to my sponsors, everything. There's nothing to say Tracy Smothers was tough, dude. I mean, one time in Pikeville, Kentucky, because we got close during these tours, I hadn't seen him in about 2 years. He was wrestling, so I said, is that Tracy's bag? They said, yeah. So I took his bag and I hit it. And when he couldn't find his bag, he literally had a breakdown. Like a nervous breakdown. Like he was losing it. So I said, hey, dude, calm down, man. I was ripping you, man. Here's your bag. And he was like, oh. And then somebody told me something happened. He lost a little marble. If you want to consider it tough, tough guys to me, the guys who can walk in a place. Somebody says shit, and you can walk out in somebody else's backyard. You can walk in somebody else's backyard. Somebody says something stupid. You defend yourself. Always defend yourself. You don't start fights, but you don't get disrespected. You don't touch me. You don't disrespect me. I don't do it to you. Well, that's the way I live, But. Okay. All right, that's a good one.
That was a good one? I wanted to start out, a little comedy there. How about Barbarian?
Oh, my God. Well, I love that John. When I first met John, he came to Kansas City territory. Him and Sony, they just got married. They just started pro wrestling, and they were only booking him a couple times a week. So he wasn't really making a lot of money, 2 days a week. So I would take him with me. He'd go on road trips with me. We had fun. That's why we're so close to this day. But when he gets drunk, he's unstoppable. When he tore up that hotel in Baltimore at the Crockett Cup, them cops couldn't stop him. We came through the wall. They were literally going to shoot him until I jumped in front of him. They were literally, that's how. The funniest part about Barbarian, when we did that over the top with Sylvester Stallone, remember that wrist wrestling thing?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't take us. They flew us down there because they thought they were used. For whatever reason, they didn't take us. So they paid us a little bit of money and told us we can go and eat and drink. They shouldn't have told us that. When Barbarian got drunk, he got so drunk. Hey, brother. See, when Samoans get drunk, they're lovable. They're lovable. But if you piss them off, they're unstoppable. They're totally unstoppable. So he's doing this, and guys going, well, hugging all this time. Were they gay? I said, what'd you say? And Barbarian goes, hey! And he picked up the mug and just smashed it on his forehead. And he had gas right there, and he's bleeding, and he's laughing. Brother. And he takes another mine. Boom. Now this clown that said that freaking out. Of course, everybody's freaking out there. So they called the cops. And I tried to tell the officer, hey, man, he's cool, blah, blah, blah. But Barbara's trying to hug the cop. And, he's being lovable, But this big old monster, them cops don't want to be lovable. So one thing I do know is he ended up going to jail, and I felt bad. Called Sony, which I should have probably never done, but she had to know. All I know is the next week when I saw him, I called and said, brother, what happened, man? Sany okay? Oh, brother, I flew. Sany came and got me out. We flew home. I get home next day, Sany make me big Samoan meal, all this stuff. I get in there. She set him up. He thinks he's having a great meal. Boom, boom, boom. She comes up from behind with one of them skillets, wrought iron skillet, and bam! She bapped him upside the head with it. Hey, don't you get drunk no more. He said, butter, I crawl on all four, butter, and she keep hitting me. We talk about that. I saw him about 3 months ago for George South. Wrestled for George South. He still looks great. Yeah. Hey, Eddie Samoan, I'm going to tell you right now. I love those guys. They're crazy like me, but they're unstoppable and they're mean. And they're mean. When you piss mean, don't mess. Don't mess with me. Somebody found out in WWE, I heard he tore somebody up pretty bad up there, Batista or somebody.
Really?
Booker T killed Batista.
I heard that was a backstage fight.
Yeah, that was a good one too. He called me up right away. Said, I knew he wasn't that tough.
Batista?
Those guys. Yeah.
He's from my hometown, Arlington.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he stepped on the wrong toes.
Yeah.
And he found out that Booker T didn't play.
Booker T, legit tough guy.
Booker T, brother. Booker T and Stevie Ray. I had legitimate tough guys at Global Wrestling Federation, JBL. Even though somebody puts the lights out. And of course I had Booker T, Stevie Ray. I had a little kid named Alex Porto, a little kid named Calvin Nat. Oh my God. Of course then I had Bobby Duncan Jr. Now that was a crazy kid. Too bad he died so soon, but that kid was, he drove me nuts.
We mentioned Billy Jack Haynes earlier. Is he a tough guy too?
Oh yeah,
Oregon?
Billy Jack, yeah. I love Billy Jack. Had some good stuff with Billy Jack when he came in. I've always respected Billy. I know what Dusty did. I know what he tried to do in Florida. That's why him and Terry are not close. In fact, the show in Spartanburg where Terry Funk, it was Cactus Jack or whatever he goes by now. Mick Foley, Terry Funk, and Goldust in a three-way dance. And something happened during that deal, and Terry went off and just started beating Dustin's butt, blooding him up, busting him up. Mick Foley's not a tough guy. He may do crazy things. He didn't want no part of that. He just got out there and walked back to the dressing room. Walked by my boy that I trained, Derek Flair, and said, I want no part of that. And Dustin came running back there, and my boy Derek Flair said he was bleeding everywhere. Eyes, mouth, everywhere. And he come back there and said, ugh. And Dusty was watching the whole thing. And Dusty's got the curtain, he's watching, here comes Terry. Terry rips open the curtain, goes by and says, and don't you say a damn word, you fat man.
That's classic.
How about your thoughts on Nikita Koloff?
He ain't much of nothing. He's another one. That's why I got this tooth missing. I had to have a recap. He's another one of those born again guys.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord, hallelujah.
How do you feel about a lot of the wrestlers becoming born again, Chris?
You can't be born again. You decide to do something in your life, then do it. Don't flaun around that I'm born again. Either you are or you're not. I'm in my own way, I'm religious. If I do something, hey, I ask for a little forgiveness. If I go on the road, 1,000-mile trip on the road, I ask for a little guidance. but I don't go flaunting in anybody's face. Oh, wrestling, I turned to God, the Lord, because wrestling made me a cocaine addict. Wrestling made me an alcoholic. Wrestling caused me to cheat on my wife. Wrestling got nothing to do with none of that. You became what you became because you wanted. You want to use it to glorify yourself. You want to use it to make money because maybe you don't got an education. You don't went to college, got a degree like me. You can use it. Got an education, educate yourself, so you don't have to use the name of the Lord to cheat people out of money. Mm-hmm. That's basically what it is.
Scam artist.
Scam artist. Yeah. Praise the Lord. Great one. Praise the Lord. We're gonna have a free wrestling show. Free. People get excited. Oh, everybody comes. Then 5 minutes later, guess what happens? They pass the bucket.
The donation bucket?
The donation bucket. Holy, that ain't free. You believe in free, then be free. You know? That's not the Lord's way. No. You use his name. Oh, Sting, I'm wrestling sin. I'm wrestling the devil. Can't give real. You couldn't beat sin. Not even Superman can do that. It's just a bunch of people trying to glorify or use it for their own need. For their own financial need, basically. Tully says he goes talks to prison. Okay, good for you, dude. It doesn't mean the prisoner cares about it. He might listen. He might think you're full of crap. Those are legitimate tough guys. Those guys, some of those guys don't even need to be walking on this earth, But we have laws, If it was up to me, they wouldn't. But it's not up to me. It's not up to me. But one thing I love to say, this is my true belief. They say that there's a lot of false prophets. There you go. There you go.
I'm going to talk about a couple things that you've done for Virginia and in Virginia. Some might be true, some might not be. Now, there's one thing I know a Norfolk police officer who told me this story about an incident with you at a bar maybe a year or two ago. I'm not sure about the timetable. It had something to do with Marcus Vick. Do you have any recollection of that?
No, it's Squires. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who he was. I am a strong believer if you do something wrong and you do your time, but the thing that you did was so horrific that you shouldn't have another chance. Go on to do something else. But, the NFL wants marquee players. To me, that guy shouldn't be anywhere. I mean, he should be cleaning cars. I don't know, but that's not me to decide. But I didn't know who he was. I went in there with a couple of friends and they taught me a lesson. Because back in the day when we used to do Norfolk, Mid-Atlantic stuff, we used to go to the Pavilion, After Hours Club, and have fun, drink. Well, I went to this club called Squires, and I went to use the restroom, came back, and somebody took my chair. Told my boy Jersey, I said, what happened to my chair? Points at this guy, and I said, what's up? So what you taking my chair for? What you gonna do about it? I said, what? So things went on, he run his mouth, so I slapped the crap out of him. And of course the cops came, and then later on I found out who he was, and the cops, said, man, don't worry about going to jail. You did us a favor. I didn't know the guy was that bad, you know what I'm saying? Trying to run around there, I heard he's making all kinds of trouble and everything, so big deal, I mean.
He's kept us busy in the news.
Yeah, he's kept everybody, he's just like his brother, I guess. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got their own, and I'm not going to sit around. Like I said, I can't run. Yeah. Outside that I can't, I won't.
Yeah. Did he have a posse with him?
Oh yeah, he has a posse. It's like what happened years back. You're an NFL player. You're a legitimate tough guy in the field. Ray Lewis, number one. You're supposed to be bad, linebacker, vicious, ferocious, and he had a posse, and 2 innocent people got killed, and nobody got prosecuted for that. So if you're so tough, Ray Lewis, why do you need a posse? What are you afraid of? I've done, people loved and hate me, millions and millions of people. I've been on TV all my life. I still go to bars by myself. I don't need no posse. You
did a show here that I was a part of in Norfolk last year with Ric Flair. You got to have a match with Ricky Morton, a tag match there. Big show. What were your feelings? Did you talk to Ric Flair at that show?
No, I was teasing Ric Flair more than anything, because when I found out that Ric Flair was coming in and show and what he was demanding and he wanted his own private jet, excuse me, now he's better than us. So I purposely went over and found out where he was going to be at and everything, and I turned the TV on, sat there and watched a football game. until he came in, he tried to be all buddy, but yeah, whatever, dude. You know, and we knew we never had, you know, don't be fake. I don't like you, you probably don't like me, so what? You know, but don't be fake, try to, oh, Manny Fernandez, yeah, whatever. Then he goes out there, does the show, does his woo, and he pays tribute to Baby Doll and Ricky Morton and all these other people that were there, Bobby Eaton, whatever, but he never mentioned my name, which is good by me. It's like I said, when he walked by, I said, I wouldn't want my name mentioned by somebody that got beat up by a 20-year-old. You're a tough guy.
Right. Now, how do you feel about his most recent possible announcement that he's going to, or the rumors, I guess, that he's going to return to the world of wrestling? Do you see any need for that anymore? How do you feel about it?
He must find some other fool to pay him. Now, you know what, dude? It's like, you asked me about my dad, Terry Funk. I like where Terry's at. I like where he stays home on the lake, in his lake house and stuff. There's no need. There's no need. You know, I'm not out there trying to promote myself. You know, you're done. You're done. But see, these guys are so fed and just obsessed with their ego. They can't fade into the background. They can't fade into the background. They just got to keep it going. You know, they just got to believe that hype that somebody made. Somebody created for you, not you. Somebody there made it for you, not you. And they just can't get rid of it. That's sickening to me. You know, it's like an old leather suitcase that won't go away. That's what Terry called it. Look at him, he looks like an old leather suitcase. Which is true, bro.
If you had one more match in the ring and you had the chance to wrestle Ric Flair, what would you do?
It wouldn't have been a match. It wouldn't be a match. It would be total destruction. My frustration with that clown and the things he does and what I heard he does to promoters, what I heard he thinks he is, it wouldn't be a match. It wouldn't last. It wouldn't last.
Because I've seen you most recently, even like not even a year ago, having some very, very good matches, 20 minutes long, long matches.
You know,
you can still go.
Yeah. The good thing about me is, like I told Terry, when I can't get in the ring by myself, I'm done. I'm done. If I can't go in there and have a great match with a kid like Pat Cusick, Damian Wayne, you know, those kind of kids, Phil Brown, and young kids I got in California that I had great matches with, Schizo and Dog and them guys, then I'm done. If I can't put a young, this is another thing. If I can't get in there and put a young kid over like Cusick and Damian Wayne, then who am I? Come on, get real. Our time has come. It's like I told one guy, I said, dude, this idiot named Crockett, I said, what is wrong with you, dude? Forget this guy over stronger in your tournament, then beat me. He's beating somebody.
Now, for the people listening at home, you're not referring to the real Jim Crockett. You're talking about the guy in this area that goes by the name of Keith Crockett.
Ex-con Keith Crockett, yeah, I'm talking about him. Rip-off artist. I'm talking about him. You know, it's stupid. This business, you got to get back to it. That's what I'm saying when you talk about Ric Flair coming back. It's his ego. He wants to be put over all the time. He's probably still suffering from punch drunk from that kid beating him up. Gave him some brain damage or something.
He'll never let that down as long as he's a 20-year-old kid.
It's shameful.
Yeah.
Oh, no. You're supposed to be a tough guy for 30 years on TV. 18-time world champion. Oh, my God. Thank God Muhammad Ali didn't try that record.
Now, I know we were going to probably wrap things up here pretty soon, and really thank you again for joining us.
Oh, thank you guys, man.
There's just a couple more things I wanted to ask you. On the independent circuit, who do you feel has a strong chance of succeeding and going to the top from the guys that you've seen?
There's the kids I train in Texas, and here's my theory. I don't train guys to be jobbers. I've been fortunate enough, most of my guys made it. Okay, I take guys in to make them, to get them to the show. And there's a kid in Texas named Schizo, and another one named Big Dog. And those kids, I trained them. They have everything I do. They're old school like me, and they can go 100 miles an hour if they have to. Or like Terry Taylor told one of my guys, you need to learn to change levels like Manny Fernandez does. Manny Fernandez can change levels at any minute, at any moment. That's what you guys need to learn to do. And that's what I try to teach my kids. You can go 100 miles an hour, but you better learn how to calm it down. You better learn how to keep it slow and then pick it back up. It's like Harley Race told me, kid, they are the puppets. Remember that? We are the puppet masters. I control the strings. I make them sit up. I make them cheer. I make them cry. They don't. And that's when you learn that, you become a great worker.
How do you want people to remember the Raging Bull, Manny Fernandez?
That I gave back to this business. Everything, I owe it. You know, my pride speaks for itself. And I'll say it again. R-Truth, you know, JBL, Crash Holly was up there for a while. So was Booker T, Stevie Ray, Homicide, Low Key, the new kids that I got out. I'm still feeding that. That's what I want to remember for. Not what it was. I was remembered that I respected this business. And I loved it. And most of all, I protected it.
And is there any last thing you'd like to say to your fans before we wrap up?
My fans have been great fans, and mainly now with the internet and all the YouTube stuff and everything, where they get to see the matches, they get to see how physical I was, my ability and everything. Their belief in me, to know that I'm not going to be out here, they know that, brother, I won every major title there was in pro wrestling in every territory. I hated them, despised them, didn't want nothing to do with them. But of course, that wasn't my decision. You know, there's times I left the World Tag Team titles in O'Hare Airport in Chicago. I'd drag it to the ring, throw it at Ricky Morton. I mean, it just make no sense. If people believe in you, they're going to believe in you because you're you. That belt don't make you any different. That belt don't make you nothing. It's a work. You got to make these people love you and believe you for what you are. And that's what I want them to believe. That's what the fans, I think, watching my matches and watching them on 24/7 or, you know, classics and everything, they see that and they say, damn, that guy was vicious. That's what I want.
Manny Fernandez, a true Raging Bull in and out of the ring. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here today. And thank you so much for everything that you've done for wrestling and your dedication to the country. And thank you so much for giving back to your fans and everything you've done for all these years.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much,
Great
sir.
job, Don.
Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
When you're around me, I begin drowning inside